Hello, listening people.
Hi!
You're listening to Spin Polish Presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm Ryan Sliwinski.
And I'm Bartek Kasprzyszak.
Do you have to pronounce it with every single letter? Like that's spelled out?
That's how it's pronounced.
It's spelled out. It sounds like how it's spelled out. Excellent. Bartek, we're called Spin Polish.
That is
Why
true.
are we called that?
You said a truth, and now you're asking for an explanation, and I'll give you one. We are called Spit and Polish because we are allegedly always spitting, and we both happen to be Polish.
Yeah, that's correct, I mean, Sliwinski, not the most, common English name. It's more Polish. More Polish in
There's
the fact that
ski
it
in
is Polish.
Yeah.
And what we do on Unappreciated Masterpieces, for those not in the know, those not in the fan club, we find movies that need to be talked about. Ones that aren't completely forgotten, but ones that aren't completely remembered. These are those films that may have the most below average ratings. They're not the 2.5 star, they're the 2-star out of 5 movies. And we think they need to be a 5-star rated because the thing about these movies that I find fascinating with any form of art is someone created this. And with a film, it's many people. Someone came up with the idea one day and they were passionate enough to share that idea with a studio. And that studio was passionate enough and interested enough to form that idea into a film and make it, and hire actors and directors and costume people and lighting people who all spent hours, days, weeks, months, even maybe years of their lives working on these films. And these films just didn't get the love from the audience, and that's the real tragedy.
So roughly, just a guess, how many people do you reckon worked on this?
49.
So not someone, but some 49.
Exactly, 49 brave souls. And 20 of those are represented by Danny Trejo and his tattoos. So...
Whoa! Oh, you're getting, right, straight into the hints of what it is.
I'm obviously saying we're doing Machete Kills, the best Machete movie. Bartek?
Yes.
I'm hinted at it's a Danny Trejo movie.
Trejo.
But what is the unappreciated masterpiece that we are going to be covering? The one that the audience will be listening to, and even if they haven't seen or heard of this movie before, by the end of the episode, they'll be like, that is a great movie.
Well, look, audience, we are not doing a machete movie. We are not doing a violent movie, in fact.
Oh, good.
We are doing something a little more wholesome. We are doing Balonowy Chłopak.
Oh, well.
From 2001, Ryan.
Oh, well, 2001 was a great year for the world. Lots of stuff happened then, big events in the world.
The world got bigger, some things got smaller.
So what's the movie? Because you're speaking Polish. Thing is, we're both Polish, but I don't speak Polish. I mean, why would I? It's not my expertise. I'm more into the unappreciated masterpieces. Bartek, what's the unappreciated masterpiece in English called?
Well, first of all, I should just mention, when I said small, I was talking about the Twin Towers. I don't want anyone to jump to any conclusions. I just want to be very clear.
Yeah, you were talking about the people who, you were talking about the Twin Towers, obviously, as a structural thing, but also lives got smaller that day.
Ryan!
What?
That is very offensive.
Did you know my dad's
to the
birthday's
Americans.
on September 11th?
Happy birthday.
Yay, it's not today. I mean, it could be when you're listening to this. Happy birthday, Dad. But what is the movie?
Guys, Balonowy means balloon, but the Polish were just silly there, because the movie isn't Balloon Boy, it's Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy from the year 2001. That is like the best year for cinema. It had Bubble Boy, and it had many others. And this is one of those movies, isn't it, Bartek? But with a movie like this, this is how I like to describe Bubble Boy. Before you even begin, it's one of those movies. Put that on the box. It's one of those movies that requires one of those guests. Bartek, who is that guest for us today?
That one guest today for us is our good friend who I know really, really, really well, but you might not know as well, Ryan. Is Sorab Kaikobad.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm still laughing about the Twin Towers joke. I think that was hilarious.
It actually happened.
Too soon.
Yes, that's true.
Too soon.
It actually happened. That's
Too
true.
soon.
Maybe a bit soon.
I mean, It's a few months till my dad's birthday, but
A few months.
if you want to give him a birthday present, Sorab, that's fine.
I'll keep that in
But
mind.
it's no laughing matter.
No.
He's nearly going to be 60.
Wow.
I mean, he's not this
That's
year,
quite
but
a life.
yeah.
Yeah.
He saw the Twin Towers fall down.
He did
I mean,
see
yeah.
the Twin Towers fall down, yeah.
Fun fact about my dad, he's such a tasteful guy. The year after the Twin Towers incident, he made a cake. Well, he made 2 cakes. Can you guess where this is going? He made
Were they
Twin Tower
white?
cakes.
Okay.
He made Twin Tower cakes. I think I can't remember what the age was, but he was 40 something, and he stuck the candles on the top of each tower, then lit every single candle. It looked like they were on fire, and he had planes stuck in each cake and jelly babies on the ground and little fire engines. And
I've never met your father, but I love the man.
He's a
That is
hero.
amazing.
Did he have like a bunch of side dishes in like Titanic-shaped bowls?
No, unfortunately not. But here we are, guys. We are all here to view again. For us on the panel, but for you, it could be the first time.
Oh,
The
you're in for a
great
treat.
movie Bubble Boy. Bubble Boy, yes, it does have the greatest actor of our generation, Swoosie Kurtz. I mean, she is fucking great in this movie. And of course, it has some returning veterans on the show from previous movies from this show, such as John Caroll Lynch as the father in this, who appeared in Catch That Kid. But guys,
And Jake
He's great. I
Gyllenhaal.
like John Carroll.
oh, and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
What
As
was
the main
Jake
character
Gyllenhaal?
again.
When was he in any movie we've covered on the show?
Yeah, the Prince of...
Oh, Prince of Time, Persia. Yeah.
Oh, Prince of Time.
So, guys,
He's so dreamy in that movie. I'm not afraid to say how dreamy he is in that
fucking
movie.
great in everything.
That hair and that chest in the... Oh, man.
We
he's
see
so
his
dreamy
chest in
that
this movie,
You
and
do
if that's
see his
enough of a
chest in
selling
this
point for you, get your legal copy of the of Bubble Boy ready.
They're not hard to find.
They're not hard to find. Get your legal copy because you want a legal copy because we want to fund the people who made this. We want to get the money back in their pockets. I want to see Jake Gyllenhaal open up his bank account and see a royalty check for Bubble Boy. And he'll be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
You know,
So
Disney really needs
that-
more money.
Disney, is this a Disney? one?
It's Disney.
It's Touchstone Pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So get your touchstone ready by putting your copy in or on. It depends if you have one that's physical or not. And line it up because we're going to do a countdown because this is a audio commentary. So we're going to be commentating this movie. So get it ready and you're going to join us in a countdown. So we're going to go to 3, 2, 1. And when we say play, that's when you press play. Okay, boys and girls and others, get it ready.
I'm going to say plot instead.
No. Get ready, bubble boys and bubble girls, because we're going to start this magnificent piece of cinema in 3, 2, 1, play. We all said plot. So we're 2 seconds in, just for good measure. And Touchstone Pictures. Bartek, did they touch your stone with this movie?
Do we make that joke every time?
I really do. That and whenever Regency Pictures comes on, I make a reference to the fact that David Fincher, the famous film director, hates their logo because it looks
yeah.
cheap. And I'm like,
Does he really? Is that true?
yeah, in the movie Panic Room, he did an audio commentary, and he was like, nah, look, Regency Pictures still looks like they're from the 80s. Then he need to update, and then he did one for Gone Girl. It's like,
Regency.
no, it's a different one. He goes, I love their design here for their logo, much better than Regency Pictures, who need to really update. But this isn't Regency. This is a baby's penis on screen.
I'm
which-
more disturbed by this nun. Like, what is on her head?
It's called a habit.
Is that? Oh, that's an actual thing. Oh, excuse my ignorance.
Don't
That's
you
wow.
know?
There you go.
Have you never seen the movie Trainspotting? It has the best joke ever, which is their drug dealer is called Mother Superior because of the length of his habit. And that's like the great play on words.
Okay, that's a good one. Oh,
So,
I never understood that.
Boys,
joke. There you go.
girls, bubble gentlemen, bubble ladies, get your bubbles ready to be popped because I'm going to spill some stinky air into the room. This is a childhood classic of mine. This
Really?
film I grew up with. My parents saw it on TV and recorded it from the TV. So
VHS.
I had an illegal copy of this as a kid, and I know I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of that.
You are? Okay.
It had the ads and everything. And I watched this probably in my lifetime 30 to 40 times.
Wow.
Everything about this movie is spot on perfect in my eyes. And I was really shocked to realize that many people had not seen this movie or even heard of it, considering the caliber of performers that are in it and the people behind it. You know, the director got a thanks for his contributions to Austin Powers. And Jake Gyllenhaal's in it. And this was...
Actually, though, the writer of this movie, which I looked up the other day...
Oh, good.
He wrote, like, Zootopia and all these great animated movies.
Well, he really started off at a great location here, didn't he?
Well, he did.
Because this is a film that appeals to kids and adults. There are raunchy moments, like the erections that kids may not get, but that's a good thing. They don't get it, but they still laugh at psycho mums. Because when I was a kid, I had a mum. She was probably psycho at some point, I imagine, when she was home. You know, who knows? Bartek,
Yeah.
this is a childhood classic of mine. Was this a childhood classic of yours?
I had not seen it until the day before this recording.
And
But we were planning on doing it like a year ago.
And then I was like, halt. We need to wait until the world is ready.
The world needed.
And that year is 2017 when we record this.
It's very poignant. Jake Gyllenhaal has a new movie coming out. Why not?
He has a new movie every year until he dies.
Yeah, of course.
You
This
know,
was one of them.
This was one of the new movies. So, Bartek, this was a new experience for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get what you thought you were going to get or more?
See, one of the comments I made to you, Ryan, after I finished watching it yesterday was that it reminds me, or rather, I see it as kind of a combination of Thunderpants,
Great film.
I'll Be Home for Christmas, and Blues Brothers.
Great film.
And I agree, all three of those films I've greatly enjoyed. And I was really surprised to find out that, as you said before, it's one of those films. Like, I just thought it would be, you know, kind of maybe a heartwarming story about a boy with an illness trying to survive and, you know, find love. But then as this movie started, you know, we had that funny narration, you know, comparing a nun to a penguin, which I guess that's also in Blues Brothers.
Yes, of course. They invented Catholicism.
And obviously, he's got, like, this kind of psychotic mother character, which is very exaggerated. That kind of reminded me of... the disconnect between Patrick Smash and his parents in Thunderpants. So
Great film.
A lot of kind of farcical things were going on. And then it became this kind of pseudo road trip-esque / journey movie where he's traveling long distance and meeting all these people, and those people end up being, you know, recurring characters.
One of them's a vulture.
One of them is a vulture. I did note that. And I just thought, wow, this is... like the fourth of these three movies that I really liked, and I was really surprised, and I really enjoyed it.
Now, Sorab, you're a newcomer to the show.
I am.
Are you a newcomer to Bubble Boy?
I am a newcomer to Bubble Boy.
Oh, wow.
I too did not see it until the day before this recording.
Did it change you?
I'm not ashamed to say it changed my life. I mean, as someone who is an actor and who loves Jake Gyllenhaal, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is amazing. I always, like, I look up to the man, and I watch this and really... He genuinely does give a good performance in this movie. Like, he looks like
he has an erection.
He does. I believe that he has an erection, and I believe he doesn't know what it is.
And he is a method actor.
He is a method actor, so I believe that hurt like hell, what he just did.
And he had an erection in front of his mum.
Yeah, well, I believe that as well. But yeah, no, I think I loved the road trip movie. I loved seeing all of these actors in this movie that I've seen in other things.
Yeah, and
you know
it's
what I mean? Like Danny Trejo.
something about the early 2000s as well. That
Yeah.
since we've grown past that time, it brings us nostalgia of being like, of course this actor's here, and I kind of miss seeing them in this period of time. Like Danny Trejo's grown so much, and you know, many of them have grown into different things. Like Swoosie here. She was in the TV show Pushing Up Daisies, you know, and they've all gone on to do great things, but there's certain actors, certain things about this era that really call home. Like when you see this kind of style of comedy making.
Yeah.
You know, it's different to the Will Ferrell, Seth Rogen type where there's lots of improvisation. You know, this movie is written.
Yeah.
And that's not to say anything about the modern style of comedy, but this is the era of 2000s where it was like, we have this wacky premise and we're going to run with it. You know, you thank people like the Farrelly brothers, Mike Myers and people behind Austin Powers and stuff like that, you know?
And also it is a movie that kids can watch.
Yeah.
But at times is so politically incorrect, and I miss that so much.
I do too.
I really do, especially with comedy, because comedy.
Here's the
you
thing
need to be able to
about
say whatever
the
you
politically incorrect thing. It's still there in modern comedy, but it's turned up times 10.
Yeah.
So you have a movie like Get Hard, where the whole movie is a politically incorrect idea of
Exactly.
Will Ferrell hires a black guy to teach him how to survive in prison because he doesn't want to get gang raped.
Yeah, exactly. And
Which
you
is
would
so
never-
un-PC, but it doesn't... It becomes to the point where I have to agree with people who are PC because it's like, is that the joke?
Yeah.
Well, this movie, it has so much more.
Exactly, and it was a family movie.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Now you couldn't make this movie the same way you do now. They wouldn't let you. They'd be like, it has to be
Yeah.
like rated R or something.
And I think
Erection joke, racism.
And I
Yeah,
think the key
exactly.
to politically incorrect humor, if you're making a feature-length film, like with sketches, it's obviously very different, and with the internet style, it's different. You need a character or series of characters who are morally good.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Bubble Boy, he's a good person deep down. Hence, when he does have an erection joke, it's sweet, you know, like, because it's that. But in a film like where you have Will Ferrell, who I do like very much, he's so morally detestable that it just goes, And you can have movies where you have morally detestable comedic characters, but they still have a heart. Like, say, American Pie came out around this time. Most of the characters in that movie are disgusting individuals, but at the end of the day, they still have a heart that you attach yourself to. And I think that's the genuine joy of this movie, is it's goofy, but it's got a heart.
Yeah.
Bartek, when this movie first came out in 2001,
Yes.
what were you doing at the time? Why didn't you see this?
I was 8 years old.
So no excuse.
Year 2, I'd probably just gotten a grasp of English at that point.
So you could have understood Jake and his lisp. I think it's a
I
lisp.
think it's a list.
Maybe I don't think I would have even heard of Jake Gyllenhaal at that point.
Yeah, he was still fairly newish. I mean, Johnny Darko was the same year.
Yeah, I didn't see that either for
That's-
some
that's
reason.
crazy.
I don't know, Ryan. I've never even heard of it. So I'd heard of the concept of a bubble boy. I'm probably
From Seinfeld.
From Seinfeld, that's what I knew it from.
Well, I hadn't seen Seinfeld at that point either, but I might have seen it in like a cartoon or something. Like, oh, this kid's in a bubble. That's wacky. Maybe Simpsons did it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Possibly, yeah. No, they did with Bart. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was in a bubble.
bubble where he had the fart. And, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked, with this, a lot of the reviews, a lot of comments did make that comparison point to the Seinfeld thing. And it's because there was a real life Bubble Boy, and that's really
And
where...
unfortunately, the episode was called Bubble Boy. So when I was looking for
The Bubble Boy.
when I was
yeah.
looking for quizzes for this movie, it was all about that episode.
You know, with the movie like this, you know, it's making a satire on the John Travolta movie as well, The Boy Living in the Bubble, and the real life story, taking a
real
comedic
life, yeah.
spin. And I think that's really ingenious. Like, you know, I don't see very many comedies nowadays taking a true events
and
and making a different style comedic movie out of them in a way that, like this, you know?
Maybe if Mel Brooks did it.
Mel Brooks is too busy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like 100 years old.
You should watch. There's an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, where Jerry Seinfeld literally goes to Mel Brooks's house and just has dinner with him and what's his name? I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
Which one?
He's like a legend, comedic legend. He was in Ocean's 11. He played the old guy.
It's Don Rickles? I don't know.
No, it wasn't. It's not Don Rickles.
There's so many old people.
It'll come to me. But anyway, it's amazing. That's what Mel Brooks does with his life. He just sits around and watches Jeopardy.
Mel Brooks did this phone interview about this movie he produced, this weird sci-fi movie, and it was supposed to be like a 10-minute call, and it went for 2 hours. So, you know, this film, a childhood classic of mine, and it was great to see Jake Gyllenhaal now in a silly role. Like, he's one of I kept writing in my notes, because I write notes for this, greatest actor of our generation several times in this. And at first I wrote that as a joke, being like, haha, he's in this. But it shows you the versatility of a performer. At the same time, he was doing Donnie Darko, which is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like, yes, it does have comedy in it, but this shows you that Jake Gyllenhaal can be your leading man. He can be your action hero. He can be your dark force. You know, he can be a comedic gem.
He is very versatile.
Yeah.
He's versatile comedic force. Like, in just looking at him, a comedic actor, he brings a lot of versatility into comedy. Like, he doesn't just play Bubble Boy as just one note character, you know, which is really good. And I love, you know, Chloe here. I love.
I like her. I do like her.
I like her because she reminds me of Heather Graham, who I like very much.
She does remind me of her. I thought that as well.
I wrote in my notes, Heather Graham, and then I knew it wasn't. I knew, but it's like, oh, I wish it was. I mean, this chick works just great. But, Bartek, when you were growing up inside a bubble, hence you didn't see this movie.
All right, secret's out.
Secret's out. Bartek doesn't have any immunities. We do this in a bubble.
There were no bubble-sized seats in the cinema.
No,
this
there weren't.
hazmat suit is very uncomfortable.
When you grew up in a bubble and the girl, the whore next door, sorry,
she's more of a bitch,
than
right?
more of a bitch, but you know he didn't know that.
That was the moment I fell in love with her. By the way, when she said that, I was like, I love this chick. She's amazing.
When the bitch next door came over, did you want to leave your bubble?
Well, I did leave my bubble.
No, you're still in a bubble. We're recording next to you in a bubble right now.
I mean, this is more.
We're at Bartek's house in his bubble.
In his bubble.
Well, outside of it because we would kill him.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this is really more of a balloon, right? You know?
And you got it, balloon boy. So this is an interesting part of the film, guys, that I really want to talk about. I think it's indicated here that years have passed.
Yeah, he says it. He says for the next few years.
Oh, yeah. It's after this scene, years have passed, because she's like, he or her, like, 2 years, and this is when they're first dating.
Yeah.
Can we please talk about the real hero of the movie, Mark? I fucking love bully characters in this movie.
Look at those hair extensions.
And I love Mark. I don't know. I didn't look up this actor, but he is basically a clone of Sean William Scott, who's Stifler. But he's so good because what I love about movies, Sorab, is, and TV, and Bartek, you must agree with this being a fan of Saved by the Bell, is when they clearly get actors who are like 25 plus to play 16-year-olds. And I'm not joking. He must be 30 years old. He's got
clearly not a teenager.
He's got like a 5 o'clock shadow, and he's so much. He looks older than the dad.
He does.
He's great. But Mark, what I love about Mark as a character is he's a great bully character because he just lays it on there. He says like, I'm a jerk, I know it, and you gotta respect that. And then at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, Jake Gyllenhaal gets to the wedding, and Mark has the best interaction I've seen in cinema. I'm gonna wait till we get to it, but I hope you all know what I'm going to be talking about. There's just, no lines of dialogue. No lines of dialogue, actually. It's just a physical interaction.
I know exactly
it's
what
so
you're
good.
talking about. It's so good.
So, here's a question about the bubble, Sorab.
Sure.
Does it extend to the window? Because he can clean his window, and she just got in through the window. But, like, he's touching.
Well, how is he touching the blinds right now? I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
I guess
me too.
I guess it could. I mean, he's walking on the floor. He's not walking on plastic.
No, so it is plastic on the floor.
Oh, it is plastic.
Yeah.
Well, then I don't know.
In a shot, you saw the plastic reflecting from the floor. So. Yeah.
Well, I love that they had the attention to detail for the plastic on the floor.
But the window
window, it's fine.
But hey, Sorab, real question. Is she getting married in New York?
Or Niagara Falls?
Niagara Falls.
Jesus Christ, that confused me so much.
I genuinely don't know. This movie, for a moment, made me believe that Niagara Falls was in New York. For a second, I was like, wait, is Niagara Falls in New York?
Oh yeah, they're right next to each other.
Have I been wrong about this my whole
life? I went
life?
to the IMDb
Did you look up
section.
Goofs?
I was like, oh, is there like a plot hole or like
No.
a viewing mistakes?
And the weirdest thing is, okay, so for those not in the know, at the first point in which he's going on his adventure, voiceover narration says her wedding's in New York and I've got to get there. But she clearly said Niagara Falls.
She says it as well.
No, she says Niagara Falls.
Niagara
Falls. And then the
Niagara
next
Falls.
scene,
Which is in Canada, by the way, everyone.
Yeah, it is.
When he goes, he's like, I'm going to go to New York. And then for the rest of the movie, he says, Niagara Falls, I'm going to get to Niagara Falls. And then one bit near the end where he's on the phone to his mother. Oh, no, he's on the phone to Mark, and he's like, I'm in New York? No, he says, I'm near New York, I'm in New York. What? He's clearly in Illinois at that point as well. And the weird thing was, his character is, sure, he's naive, but he is educated.
Yeah.
And his mother, like, this is what I love about films like this. You can get a lot of subtext. Like, you have to go, well, his mother is blinding him to the real world. So maybe she's screwing up his idea of geography and, like, he thinks that down the road is New York.
Is New York, yeah.
Oh, and Marco was also a bubble boy.
Yeah.
He was in New York, apparently.
Yeah, and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So I think that's like a subtle thing of his manipulation, you know? That's what I think.
Went into it, yeah.
Now, guys, this is Jake Gyllenhaal at an unknown. Like, Donnie Darko's his, you know, real big kicking off point for the general.
This came
masses.
out first, right? They came out same year, but
think,
this came out
yeah.
first, right?
Yeah, you can double feature this if you want.
You could, yeah, that would be amazing.
Now, do we know Jake Gyllenhaal very well as a performer? You know, Bartek?
I've seen him in a handful of things that were really great. Like, I've seen him in Donnie Darko. I've seen him in this. I've seen End of Watch, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, Nightcrawler.
Love Nightcrawler.
You seen Southpaw?
Southpaw, yes, Southpaw as well. I've also seen
Prisoners?
Everest. I haven't seen Prisoners.
Zodiac.
Prisoners is very good.
And I haven't seen Zodiac either.
And Sorab, you're familiar with him too. What is it about Jake Gyllenhaal that makes him stand out above the rest, even especially in a movie like this?
I think what you said, like, he can play the darkness or he can play the light, but no matter what he's playing, you really like him.
He's sincere.
There's something about him. I just like him.
Yeah, he's never played someone in movies I've seen that I've truly detested. Like, there's
Yeah.
characters like Lou Bloom and Nightcrawler
Yeah.
where he's morally disgusting, but I can't help but admire the guy
Yeah.
because he's got such drive, and that's because of Jake
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal is such a likable presence. I also like his
Yeah.
sister, Maggie.
Yes, she's very good.
I think, you know what I like about both of them, and I think this, you know, Jake could have easily gone down the comedy landscape
Yeah.
because of this feature that I think they both have, which is they have these goofy eyes.
The eyes, yeah.
It's these
It is,
big
yeah.
eyes which Jake Gyllenhaal plays up in movies like Nightcrawler, which makes him intense.
Oh my god,
they can
he's
be so
creepy
intense
in that movie.
because they're so buggy out and kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, he looks like a gecko.
He does, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
that
very,
kind of
very, very
thing.
reptilian, yeah.
And it's the eyes, and in a movie like this, you can't help but look at those eyes and just get lost in him as a
Yeah.
performer. And I think, really,
He has very expressive eyes. Also, he looks like he's 12 right now.
yeah, he does look like that because also he's wearing children's clothes.
Yeah, that's
And he's
also
got children's
true.
haircut.
His haircut is.
But
his
I-
haircut is amazing in this movie.
Yeah, he kind of looks like
I don't, you know.
early designer for a Dumb and Dumber character. I
Well,
guess.
yeah. You know, I didn't want to say anything, Bartek, but Sorab's wearing a beanie right now. He didn't want to let us know, but he got his haircut to look like the Bubble Boy just for this podcast,
did.
for strictly audio-based podcast.
Like I said, I'm an actor, and I truly believe in method acting. And just for this, it really helps me identify with this character
Now,
to have my hair cut the same.
You're still getting the
And
voice down, though.
I am still getting the voice down, but that's how I got here. By the way, that
Oh,
he's
no,
running
in
right
a
now. That's how
bubble.
that's how I
You
got
ran
here.
in a bubble.
I ran in a bubble with just unbridled joy on my face.
this movie is a character movie, to say the least. The plot is not as important. It's the graduate plot line, basically. I got to interrupt the wedding
Yes, very much so.
plot
In
line.
a wedding that kind of looks similar to...
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Can
satire.
I just ask also, is this the street for this feels like the street from Edward Scissorhands?
It is.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Right, yeah.
It is, and that's why this movie's soundtrack at points rips off Edward Scissorhands.
It does,
so
right?
that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't want to do this, but
movie.
this is my favorite character in the entire
Me
movie.
too.
There's so many characters to choose from. Now, Bartek, you know, I can see you just perched on the edge of your seat, just wanting to talk about all the wacky side characters, because I know that's
I
really...
can wait till they come.
I know that's really your thing, but I loved Zach Galifianakis in this movie. It was a real genuine surprise to see him, but you know what I
did
loved
not know,
about...
yeah.
What I loved about him is he's the only character, probably besides from the dad, who is the realist in this world of cartoons. You know what I mean? Like, he does have his little wacky moments where he's like, I've lost weight. But
Yeah.
I just love how stern and serious Zach Galifianakis is. I'm not a big fan of Zach Galifianakis. Like, I like him. I like his kookier stuff, but this... It's so great to see such a great talent playing against type.
I also love that after he leaves his house and he's in the bubble, everyone is like just okay with the bubble, but
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis is the one that's like, what is happening
excuse me?
right now?
Machete, Danny Trejo didn't seem okay. He grabbed
That's
out a
true, no,
knife.
that's true. That's true.
He just
That's
wanted
true,
to
I
know how you
forgot
take
about
a poop.
I forgot
And he
about
never got
that.
that answered.
So what I really like about Zach here is that and I'm not saying this about the actor, but about the character. The character seems like a person who decided one day, I'm not going to react to anything. That's my challenge. And then he sees this and he's like, oh no, this is going to be a challenge. I'm just going to take it really slow and really calm.
I
So
would watch
good.
an indie
That's
comedy
so funny.
film about Zach Galifianakis' character's day in the life.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
Patterson, but with Zach Galifianakis' character as the bus station
It'd be
attendant.
great. It would be amazing.
I-
I'd watch the hell out of that movie.
You know, where he's writing, he's actually writing a film script about this story. Like,
And then when the mum comes by and like hurts his feelings, is like, well, I have to say something.
and he comes home to his fat cat, and he's like, this woman called me fat.
That's so good.
He's like, oh no, can't react to this, can't react to this.
Yeah, no, he finds the best way to react to it.
Plain joke.
Now, there are many wacky characters, many character actors that appear in this. We've mentioned Danny Trejo a lot, John Caroll Lynch. I love seeing John Caroll
Fabio's
Lynch.
in this movie,
My hero,
right?
Fabio. Okay, do we know Fabio very well?
I mean, I know him as an icon, not really so much the guy.
So you do know him then.
Yeah.
Like,
He was
he's
in Dude With My Car.
exactly.
And in Zoolander.
And in Zoolander, and in Bubble Boy. Fabio is one of those people who's like, I guess, Kim Kardashian, in terms of they are famous because they are who they are and nothing else.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And I respect Fabio because Fabio clearly, to me, is playing a character that's called Fabio. Like, he's this weird European sex god who's got magnificent hair and he's above everyone else, but he's slightly stupid. It's like the greatest character performance I've ever seen. And I know someone in the audience is going to be like, no, that's just Fabio. Well, that's where you're wrong,
Yeah.
because we have Fabio on the show now, don't we?
Yes.
How are you, Fabio?
Very good.
Fabio, what country are you from?
Europe.
My favorite country. Now, Fabio, when did you become Fabio? Were you born this way, like Lady Gaga would say?
2 seconds before I was conceived.
Well, there you go. The universe blinked and Fabio was in existence right before our very eyes.
God was, he was a little quick to conceive me.
Too quick, Fabio?
Two seconds.
God conceived you as well. That's I feel like we just skated past that. God conceived
Well,
you.
he's Jesus.
Right, okay, of course.
And he's also God, because Jesus
He's
is
both.
God, and
Yeah, he's both,
in
yeah.
Fabio.
Join my cult. I mean, church. I mean, thing.
Fabioism, my favorite religion. So, with Fabio's ever-glowing presence in this movie in all 2 scenes he's in,
Yeah, I think so.
you know, he's a reminder of the 2000s as well. Like, it's like when you watch a movie like Zoolander and has Billy
Yeah.
Zane in it.
Yeah, oh my god, Billy Zane.
You know, it reminds you of the 90s. This is one of these movies where it has Fabio, it reminds you of the late 90s, 2000s. Genitals. Do we
Can I
have
just
them?
ask? So they're all castrated, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
One
yeah.
of the goofs the best goof I've ever read on IMDb is like, the cultists are clearly all castrated, but there's one guy that's playing the trombone who clearly has a large package.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a
It was
piece
like
of
while
goof.
they were singing. I was trying to look out for him, but I forgot the trombone detail.
And this guy, I've
That's
always
amazing,
remembered, and that's
yeah.
the crippled one.
I like that.
That's
Yeah.
the
Is that
crippled one. Yeah, because he's holding his crutch in his hand. Not his, like, genitals. He doesn't
yes.
have those
Not his
anymore.
crotch.
Not his crutch, his crutch, yeah.
Now, this is probably the best joke in the entire film for me, where we have the hatred of Jews. You know, you just got to have that in a
You have to throw
mainstream
that in a
movie.
How can you not?
No, I think the real strength of this is the parents. You know, I find it very interesting that Swoosie Kurtz has been around for a very long time. Do we guys know her from very much?
I do not.
Wow.
I think she kind of looks like Jessica Lange.
Yeah.
Lange? I can never remember how to say her last name.
How about you call her Jessica out of the Lange?
Okay, I'll call her that. Jessica out of the Lange. I think that's who she looks like. But it's not her, so I don't know. I don't know.
Bartek?
No, but I feel like she would be some kind of distant relative of Kitty from that 70s show who no one talks about.
Yeah,
I love Kitty from the
I like
70s
Kitty
show
as
that no
well.
one talks
I do
about.
too.
I love her laugh.
Yeah, so the thing that is, I know her so well, Swoosie. I saw this movie when I was a kid and went, oh my god, it's the lawyer from Liar Liar.
Oh my
She's
god!
the prosecuting lawyer from Liar Liar. And you know what I loved about her in Liar Liar? She does a Zach Galifianakis. She's the serious one.
Yeah.
Who actually just is the one who keeps being like, Jim Carrey's crazy. Why are we letting this continue?
You just blew my mind. I did not know that was her.
And
That's
she has the
amazing.
best bloopers I've ever seen in a movie where
that.
in Liar Liar, she's playing off Jim Carrey and they're doing like objection. And he's making fun of her, and then she's like, objection, overacting in the courts, and Jim Carrey just loses it, like, and it's so genuine. Because like
That's
the
so
best
good.
thing you could ever say to Jim Carrey is his overacting, because that's like the best criticism.
So funny.
So I've always had respect for her, and when she appeared in this movie, it's just magical because she's playing the opposite. She's playing super crazy. Sorab, what character are you in this movie? Which one is Sorab?
That is a tough question.
I know. I often look at
I think
my...
we're about to meet him.
the
We're about to meet
bike.
him. We're
Wow.
about to meet him. There he is on the ground.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
there he is.
Machete.
This is exactly how I would react.
Daddy
if
Trejo
someone
is
wearing
so-
this.
Well, you do have tattoos.
I do have tattoos. It's true.
And these are his real tattoos. So
Yeah, his are real tattoos. So are mine. They're not fake.
Sorab's fake tattoo guy. You know. You know.
I'm that guy.
He's one of those guys
I'm one
in
of
those
those guys in
movies
those
that has
movies,
fake
exactly.
tattoos.
And yet he's method acting as Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
I am. I can multitask. It's okay. Don't worry.
He can be multi-talented.
Multi-method.
Yes.
I mean, hey, we've done a movie where Robert De Niro method acted the first ever cartoon character into film, and I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. So here he is.
There he is. The
Legend.
Man, the myth, the legend.
I like how his symbol, his neck symbol, is like different shape to the actual symbol they have. Like theirs is a horizontal gap, while his is a vertical gap, making it like he is the supreme leader of this wonderful cult. You know, like everything that he has is this vertical gap. I love it. You know,
It's
Like a standing tall.
look
gap.
at that suit as well. It's amazing.
he's a fashionable young man.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
So Bartek, who are you in this film? Are you Todd or Todd?
That's a hard one, Ryan. It's almost like the $500 question.
No, it's a $5 question.
Oh no! I'll
Five-
come out of this
$500.
competition winning no money then.
I think that I am the Birdman of the Freaks show. You know the one I'm talking about? The one with the bird beak nose?
Oh, there was one like that, yeah.
I like how you said it like you had doubts.
Because there were so many of them, and I only
There were
remember-
5.
There were 5.
And
That's
you know-
true. There were 5.
But they all ran around in like this gang. All
But
the
you know what
time.
my favorite freak was?
Was it the one with the deep? Oh, the little black one?
No.
I like the little black one. I
His
like
name's Beetlejuice in real life.
Is it really?
Yeah. My favorite one is, and this is not a joke, when we come up to it, you're going to be like, you're spot on, is the one who's just a gymnast. When she first comes out of the train, she's like crawling on her hands and with her legs behind her head. But then for the rest of the movie, she's just standing there looking normal because her talent as a freak is a gymnast.
Gymnast.
Oh yeah, she's what's that? What's that term for when you're really...
Freak. We just went through this. Real tattoo. Danny Trejo always has that woman tattoo in everything
He does.
because those are real.
It's a real tattoo.
Except for Wildfire.
Isn't it his family?
No, the names are his family, but that woman is just some woman. I don't know if it's his wife or not. You know, Danny
No,
Trejo's
he-
been in
it's-
prison.
Yeah, it's a dream that he had in prison. He dreamt that woman and then tattooed it on.
Do you remember why he went to prison?
No, I don't know why he went to
I'm
prison.
pretty sure he murdered people.
Did he really?
He used to be in the Mexican cartel, and he was one of those people that would stick people in barrels of petrol and set them on fire.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if he went to prison for that, but he's talked about how he did that.
Well, there you go.
And Danny Trejo, great example of how the justice system works. Because he went to prison, served his time, and he became a better man for it because we have him in movies. And I don't know anyone who doesn't have a smile on their face when they see Danny Trejo.
I love that guy. I love him.
And
so
look at him here.
much.
I love him in this.
I love seeing him smile as well.
You know, I love
It's great.
this moment here where it's like you feel the wind in your hair, and Jake Gyllenhaal just stops
Yeah,
acting for a moment.
exactly.
Like, yeah, I just love moments like that in a movie where it still keeps the tone, it doesn't destroy anything, but you just know that the actor wasn't acting there.
Yeah.
They're just like in the moment. And
Well,
it's
you've
just
read,
so
you've read
nice.
the trivia about him, right?
Yes, tell me.
Danny Trejo loved working on this film because it was one film that he's done, or one of, I don't know all of his
It was the
films.
first one, I think.
Maybe the first one that he's done where he neither died or killed anyone.
Wow.
Which
There
I
you
guess
go.
matters a lot to an actor, you know.
Yeah.
If you're typecast, to be
Unless
this-
you're Sean Bean, I think it's in his contract that he has to die. in
and when
the
he
movie.
doesn't, then everything falls apart.
Exactly,
Looking
yeah,
at
it
you, Jupiter Ascending,
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
where you played a bee, a human bee. So, Sorab, you're a man of the world.
Yes,
Have you been to Las Vegas?
I have been to Las Vegas.
Was Bubble Boy being shot there at the same time? Is that your alibi for 9/11?
It is my.
Where were
alibi,
you,
yes.
Sorab? That's not John. Where
not
were
John.
you during 2011?
2011.
Yeah, because there could have been a terrorist attack then too.
As well. Well, in 2011, I was probably enjoying the stylings of Danny Trejo in a movie called Once Upon a Time in Mexico,
I
which
yeah.
I just love that movie.
Oh, okay. Political debate here.
Oh yeah, you don't like.
I don't like it because I like Desperados so much.
Desperado is the better film. That's true.
Danny Trejo's best film role is clearly the janitor in Modern Family. He keeps
That
appearing
is
in
his
Modern
best
Family
film
as
role.
the janitor.
You are absolutely correct.
So, you know, he was there doing that. When I watched this film last night, there was lots of flashbacks coming to me. I forgot how Christian his character was. Like, that was a big factor into it. Like, I've watched this film a lot. I remember Danny Trejo. I like how he hasn't aged. Like, he
doesn't age.
He has, but, like, not... Like, he's always looked like this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like...
He stopped aging when he started movies because he hasn't aged since between this and now. Definitely not.
And Jake Gyllenhaal hasn't aged.
That's also true.
He looks the exact same, except for he may be skinny or buff. There's no
Yeah,
in between.
or have a beard or be clean shaven, but other than that, he looks the same.
Or older, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, what can
Yeah.
you do?
Exactly.
Bartek, when this film happened, you're a first timer. I imagine there were lots of questions that kind of came up during the watching of it. Are there any that you are still left with that you want to ask Sorab and I, who are Bubble Boy experts?
The only one that I really was confused about, we already brought up, which was the whole New York thing.
Oh, yeah?
So, experts, go ahead and explain that.
Well, I already did.
He did.
There we
and I
go.
thought it
So
was a
there's
very,
nothing-
very
I'm
good
an ex.
explanation.
No, I'll explain it again. You see, New York is in Niagara Falls, and Niagara Falls is in New York.
Yes.
And did you know this movie all took place in Illinois? In one scene in particular. Now, when you see a cult, have you seen cults in real life?
I have not seen cults in real life. Well, maybe I have and I didn't notice. I don't know.
Welcome to our cult.
Oh, well, there you go.
You're a part of the Spit and Polish cult now, Sorab.
That's why I had to give you my bank details when I walked in.
Yeah,
Right,
and a
okay.
vial of your blood,
Right,
and
okay,
sperm.
yeah, and sperm. Yeah.
Yeah, and dignity.
That was
And genitals, weirdly.
Yeah, they're gone.
It was weird that we got genitals after the sperm, but, you know...
Well, you kind of have to. If I give you my genitals first, how can I give you the sperm?
Well, we could have just cut off your dick and just squeezed
Squeezed real hard and hope for the best.
and see what comes.
Yeah.
Squeeze real hard and see what comes out of the balls.
Ooh, good specimen.
That's exactly it, Bartek. You got it.
That's what I said when we did it.
That's Sorab's child that you got in your hands there.
Another question about geography in this film is,
Yeah.
do we know where they live?
They do say the name of their town.
Right.
I don't know if we get a
Because,
state.
so did the parents drive through Las Vegas to find him?
Yes,
They did,
they just
right.
went through to Vegas
Yeah.
because the bus station guy said he went to Vegas.
That's correct. Yes, that's right. You are right.
Or yeah, because the cultists were going to Vegas.
Yeah.
So they're in Nebraska now.
I would like to watch this movie with a map of the states in front of me.
I've always wanted to watch movies with maps because
Yeah?
my favorite part of movie watching is map watching.
It's map watching.
Now, Bartek, I get a feeling that one of your favorite actors is going to be coming up in this next scene here
Yeah.
as
Ooh.
as Dr. Freak.
Oh, you mean Verne Troyer.
There's a big. When I said it, you
The
go
smile
got
on
this
his
smile.
face. The smile on his
smile.
face is amazing.
Because I was kind of confused. I'm like, oh, which one? Because I don't really know if I have a favorite character.
John
but-
Caroll Lynch, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
No, Verne Troyer, you're right. I do know who
Can you
Verne
tell
Troyer
us a
is.
bit about Verne Troyer? You seem like an expert on
He-
him. I only know him as Mini-Me, to be honest.
I'm not really an expert on him, but he has been on the show before, technically, when we did Baby's Day Out.
When he
as-
played a stunt baby.
He was the stunt baby for the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you're a Verne boy.
I mean, not really.
You know how mean he is in real life?
No.
He's very, very...
Is he really?
He's been arrested
Really?
several times for violence.
For
For
violence.
kicking women out of his car.
He's basically a gangster. Like, those are like real tats and stuff. Like, he's actually really hardcore.
He was.
You know he was in Harry Potter, right?
Yeah, he was one of the Gringotts.
They kicked him off Harry Potter because he was too mean to the children. I just can't get over it. So when he rocks up in this movie as a gangster kind of mean figure, I go, he's not acting.
He's
That's
not
just Verne
acting.
Troyer. But hey, I might be. I might not know.
He was in the prison scene of Goldmember.
See this woman here? Just walking on a butt?
Yeah.
That's her freak talent. I like how he spelt with a PH,
PH,
like
yeah.
he's a PhD.
Yeah, I didn't really get that until I
Freaks.
looked up stuff about the film.
Well,
Even though it's written on,
It's written
kind
on
of
the side of the thing,
freaking.
I just love Verne Troyer in this movie.
I love how strong his bubble is.
Yeah, well,
amazing.
he has to have a strong bubble,
Yeah, I
or
guess he
else
does.
germs will get in.
That's true, yeah.
Well, not just that, Ryan. The movie's called Bubble Boy. You can't have a Bubble Boy without a bubble.
You could. Oh, okay. When I pitched this movie to my girlfriend last night, who had never seen it, I said, "Bubble Boy, what do you think it's gonna be about?" And she nailed down the plot like so easy. She's like, "It's about a boy in a bubble, and he gets out of his bubble to get, I don't know, chase the girl." And I'm like, nailed it. And I'm like, but I didn't tell her that. I said, no, it's actually about a bubble who's a boy trying to search for their gender identity. And she just looked at me and said, I don't think Jake Gyllenhaal would do a project like that. And I
the best
agree.
reaction ever.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that's Jake's material, but
No,
it's
not his
Verne's.
style.
With
It's
the
not
with
his
the,
style.
with the freaks, before I noticed that two of them were conjoined at the head, I was wondering why.
One was wearing a hat.
Why one was just a Jew? I'm like, oh, they're going with that whole Jews freaks thing.
Oh, right. Okay.
But
yeah.
then I realized, oh, they're conjoined.
They're
That's
conjoined,
why.
No, they're conjoined.
Contortionist. That's the word that I was.
Oh, there you go. No, you meant freak. I know.
I think you meant freak, yeah.
Yeah, freak. So, Sorab,
Yes.
did this movie give you any questions that you need asked? You need to ask us answered.
Good one.
I think my biggest question for this movie would probably have to be something about why, and you'll find this out at the end, so maybe I shouldn't ask this yet.
No, dude.
But why is he not wearing pants while in the suit? Do you know what I mean? Because it seems very low down.
But no,
on
he
his
is,
legs.
isn't he wearing pants?
No, because when
He's in his
you see him
undies.
at the end,
Yeah, but
he's
like
in his
the
underwear.
yeah.
So
Because
then another question would be, if he is wearing pants right now, why does he also take them off at the end to be in his underwear?
because he wants to show her what he's got before he dies.
Right. Okay.
Now, I love this scene.
This scene is
I
fantastic.
just love,
This
I
is
just
an
love
amazing scene.
hicks in movies. Like, they're a favorite little trope of mine. Do we have a favorite on-screen redneck that we've seen in anything? There's so many. I love in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. There's these two rednecks that pick up Steve Martin and John Candy, and he's just chewing tobacco, and he just like looks at Steve Martin, and he just has this scrunched up face, and he's going and just like sucking up his chewed tobacco and swallowing it instead of spitting it out. That's one of my favorite. Oh, and his wife is this tiny woman lifting their heavy bags, and they're like, no, and he goes, nah, don't worry about her. She may look small and scrawny, but she's strong like a mule. Our firstborn, he came out sideways. She didn't scream or nothing. That's one of my favorite they're one of my favorite rednecks on
Came out
screen.
sideways and he didn't.
But
scream
these
or
guys are close. Picking
These
on
guys are
some poor
very
Indian
good.
guy. Or was he
Very, very
Pakistani?
good.
No, he's Indian.
He's Indian in this. He's Pakistani in Seinfeld.
Babu.
Yeah.
Babu Bhatt.
See, I miss him as an actor as
So
well.
do I.
Like, I'm sure he's in stuff,
He's
but
in The Big Bang Theory.
He
He's
does-
like Raj's father.
He does a
but
lot of voice
not very
acting as
often.
well.
he's always one of those presences. But do we have a favorite on-screen redneck, or is it this movie's done it for you?
I don't know. I just like the character type so much. I don't really think I have a necessary favorite out there.
Not Deliverance.
That's a good one.
Make him squeal like a big
That's a
boy.
good one. That is a very good one.
I know. I hear Sorab saying, Ryan, how are you not talking about Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel from The
Cletus would
Simpsons?
probably be my favorite.
I was
on-screen.
thinking-
I like
Cletus.
Brandine better.
Brandine.
Where she's like giving birth and she has rabies at the same time, and she's like foaming at the mouth. She's like, "Give me back my baby."
I love. There's an episode of The Simpsons where Cletus's kids. He has like 10 kids because
A million.
He does, yeah. And they all become like pop sensations or like celebrities,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
keeping all the money from them.
Yeah,
I just think it's hilarious.
yeah. It's basically like Mike, but for
It
The
is.
Simpsons.
I was gonna say it's like Mike, but with The Simpsons.
Now, Bartek,
Yes.
tell me a bit about what you got, like some of the stuff that you got from this movie. I want to hear a bit more from you.
First of all, I really like this.
This Indian kid,
Little
like
Indian
curry.
kid. Also, there's no other Indians in this town.
No,
Is that his son?
Yeah,
and he's
but
just left
fuck
him behind?
Fuck him. He's more worried about cows.
Right. Yeah.
Have you been to the
point.
town? Maybe there is an Indian
Maybe there
family.
is. That's true.
There's got to be a
That's true.
wife somewhere,
That's yeah. That's
unless
true.
she's
Maybe.
dead.
Yeah. Wow.
which
Maybe
would
that
be
kid's,
tragic.
Maybe that kid's going through a lion like story.
Oh well, there you go.
That's the subplot of the movie.
And Verne Troyer's Nicole Kidman, who adopts him into his freak show, and it just becomes a new thing. Yeah, and he grows up to be Babu. Anyway, he still grows up to be
Still grows up to be Babu.
and it's like a continuous cycle though, like
Yeah.
of just abuse on children.
Mm.
So Bartek, hit me with some of your thoughts about this movie, because you messaged me. This is Bartek. Messaged me going, "Oh boy, I like this movie," which was a good sign
is a good
because
sign.
he gave a
Yeah,
"oh boy."
I was being kind of vague there because I wasn't sure if you'd seen it yet or not. Then you pulled the whole childhood classic thing on me. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
there
well,
you
I don't
go.
have to.
I'm an expert.
Don't have to be subtle or anything. Look, I really, really had a lot of fun in this movie. I laughed out loud a lot. You know, usually when we watch these films, you know, I might enjoy them without necessarily laughing all that much, but this one genuinely got laughs out of me. Like that last scene right there in that town with the Hicks, it was just things were constantly happening, and you know, it wasn't slow paced or anything, and it just very quickly ended up in a huge explosion that knocked over a tower. I thought that's great, and then they end it with this little joke of like, oh, this is an ice cream curry van, so we'll have a bunch of kids chasing it wanting ice cream, but we'll throw in one Indian boy who just wants the curry. And you know, silly things like that, you know, sometimes get me in the funny bone.
Yeah, what is it? We've discussed this many times on the show before, and we had a brief discussion about it earlier with comedy. Comedy is very hard. Like many people have different
Hardest
style.
thing to do.
Hard and subjective, yeah.
Many
Hardest thing to
people
do.
have different certain comedy things that really get to them that they like.
Yeah.
What is the certain comedy trait or style or thing that really speaks to you, Bartek? Because I for some reason when I suggested this, I said to myself, Bartek's going to really, really love this, but I don't know necessarily what it is about this type of movie that hits home really to you. What
Well,
is it?
Look, I can say here that I really like intelligent comedies because I do. I've seen a few intelligent comedies that I thought were great. But I think at the core, I'm really into just kind of silly comedies. Like, because I grew up with Adam Sandler films. You know, say what you will about him. I've always kind of liked funny voices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this film definitely has that because, you know, we've even mentioned that Jake Gyllenhaal has a lisp there. The Beetlejuice guy, he's got a funny high voice.
That's his natural voice.
And same with Verne Troyer, right?
Yeah, that's offensive.
Is it offensive?
Oh, you're making fun of them? No, go on.
Making fun of people for having
They've got
natural-
disabilities. I give them these weird voices, but it's like,
Exactly.
oh, dang.
Come on, man.
Right, I think they have the ability to speak, articulate just fine.
You're right. I'm being offensive.
Yeah, you're the one bringing this stuff into it.
I'm the fucking monster here. Put me in a bubble and shoot me into space.
But also we have these, you know, really like you said, politically incorrect, blatant moments, like where Push Pop here is freaking out, and then Jake Gyllenhaal cheers him up. He cheers him up with like a genuine statement of like, "Don't worry, your religion is all a lie." And it just
that part did make me laugh out loud. That was so funny.
And what I liked about it was it wasn't hurtful. Like, you did hurt him, but it wasn't like vengeful or mean-spirited.
No, it wasn't. It was just like,
No.
oh, don't worry, your religion's it's a lie.
He was trying to cheer him up.
Yeah.
So you like this? You do deep down. You like silly comedies.
I do like silliness, and obviously you can't just be pure silly because sometimes that doesn't work. But this movie, intersperts the silliness. I think I said that word wrong, but whatever. Intersperse the.
Interspurts, like semen shooting on the face of a
It
young woman.
interejaculates a bunch of silly moments while also having like the subtle kind of stuff. Like when
Sorab's losing it. Like I looked him dead in the eyes when I said that too. You're new to the show, Sorab, but we've talked about child fucking on this show. I mean, we've done it
have.
all.
Why not? Why not? What was the movie you were
Baby's
watching?
Day Out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure.
Of course.
it was baby fucking, Ryan. Get it
Baby
right.
fucking.
Yeah. Would you?
There you go.
The answer was yes.
The context was that the baby from Baby's Day Out grew up to be a very handsome hunk.
So would you have got into a relationship with this, if you knew this, had future information, would you have then gotten into a relationship with this baby,
Hell yeah.
knowing that they would grow up to be a super hunk?
Yeah.
So the answer is yes, Sorab would fuck a baby. Put that on a poster. So Sorab,
Yes.
we know each other not the greatest. We've interacted a few times in our lives.
Yes.
What is the type of comedy that speaks to you?
Speaks to me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard question because I was as Bartek was talking just then. He was talking about silly comedies. I was thinking, no, I'm more of I like a more grounded comedy. I like satire. I like satire a lot. That's probably my favorite type of comedy is just satire. I think it's amazing.
Fake news.
Yeah, exactly. I love satire, and I think that's great. But then I was thinking, as soon as he mentioned Adam Sandler, I grew up loving those movies as well. Billy Madison. I would sing Back to School every time I went to school because it was just hilarious. But I also grew up on Seinfeld because my parents were big Seinfeld fans. Yeah. So I like them both as long as it's good. If it makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I can't really pin down what makes me laugh. Just things make me laugh, and I like to laugh.
Yeah, it's very hard to pin down with the comedy. Like, I pride myself on trying to be a big fan of most stars of comedies. I like old school comedies from the 30s and 40s where they sing for no apparent reason.
Yeah, exactly.
I like slapstick comedies. And I like a comedy like this, like I said, because it is being openly silly and openly offensive, but with a heart. And I think that's the thing that comedy gets thought of lesser for, is you have such mean-spirited comedies with no heart. And I get really defensive about people who have a go at certain comedy stars for being offensive and thinking that they don't have an intelligence behind it, such as South Park.
That's exactly right.
South Park
Which is one of the smartest things.
It's intelligent. I call South Park intelligent stupidity.
It is,
because it is stupid. They have a whole episode dedicated to, if you shove food up your butt, do you poop out your mouth?
Yeah.
But it's an intelligent idea as well. Because
Lots of creative.
Those guys as well, though, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they're so
intelligent,
clever. I saw the Book of Mormon.
I'm seeing that next month.
It's so good and so clever and so funny, and I really love that as a comedy because it's so dumb on the surface.
Yeah.
But underneath everything, it's pure intelligence.
Yeah.
Well, I really like Cannibal
really
the
love
musical, so this is kind of like a spiritual successor to that. in
Yeah,
my
there
eyes.
you go.
And what I like about a movie like this, and my favorite comedy movie, and probably one of my favorite movies, is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
It's a great movie.
And what I like about a movie like this, which is also a road trip movie,
Yeah.
they're on very different ends of the spectrum, but they both have something in common, which is, what I like about a good comedy is you could remove the comedy, and it still is a good film. That's something that I like too. With this, I would watch a movie of Machete trying to chase a bunch of cultists. I would watch a movie of Jake Gyllenhaal running across America to try and get his girl and encountering, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you could remove the sillier elements and it would still work. And that works with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles to a higher extent because that movie doesn't pull any punches when it comes to making a comedic scene end dramatically, to say the least.
Do you reckon that you would still enjoy this movie if it was still all of these plots together without the comedy?
I reckon so, if you still have the character actors.
Yeah.
Because Danny Trejo isn't a funny actor.
No.
But he is inherently funny because he's Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
In this movie, he is a comedy character, and this
But
was
it's because
before
he's Danny Trejo in this weird situation.
Exactly, but also in his defense, this was before the Danny Trejo
Yeah, that's true.
thing. But it still works because of what he looks like. Now we know Danny Trejo, and it kind of works on another level of being like, it's Danny Trejo. So I think it would work if you still had these character actors in it with if you removed comedy from it, it would still work because you have, Verne Troyer being there, and he plays it serious. He was my second favorite.
Yeah.
For one scene in particular.
Oh, where he's being consoled?
Yeah. I keep writing in my notes that this relationship is going places.
It's amazing.
And getting back to how I said I really like the silly kind of stuff, like the whole $500 gag.
Oh, man.
For a simple... And improvised according to the trivia.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
Improvised between the... I don't know what the Asian actor's name is, and...
He's a hero.
He's the delivery guy from Seinfeld who gets hit by a car. When
Is
Elaine is like crossing the street with the Virgin.
Yeah. Is this the movie where everyone from Seinfeld that was minor character actors just appear?
Yeah, because that's where they got the idea for the movie from, was they
Don't
watched an
say
episode of
that.
Seinfeld.
I really wish I grew up with Seinfeld, because I didn't watch Seinfeld until I was in year 9, and I just
Really?
and I basically just watched every episode then.
I've always wondered what it was like not to grow up with
Yeah, me
Seinfeld.
too.
In terms of, I grew up with lots of shows like Seinfeld, Simpsons, all that, and it's always a joy now when you're older to rewatch them and see the real intelligence and brilliance of them. But there's also that thick layer of, it's so common to me.
Yeah.
I often wonder what it would be like if I didn't grow up with Simpsons and watched it now, and how much of the brilliance I would see upon just first encountering or not.
Whereas I'm in this like kind of weird middle ground where I was not
Because
a
year
child.
9 is still quite young.
But
you're
it's
not a
old
child.
enough.
And plus, I watched every episode in a short amount of time, so it's harder for me to recall, like, unless they're like really like standout moments.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When I was a kid, I would have seen every episode of Seinfeld, but I don't think I ever saw them in order.
Oh no!
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I definitely had seen all of them.
Yeah, but even when you don't see them in order, like The Simpsons, you can still construct a timeline of things.
Exactly. You know
like
what's
when you,
going
it's with Seinfeld. For me, it's like with Seinfeld, Simpsons, Becca,
Becca's great.
and Frasier.
Frasier's amazing.
It's when you see the first few scenes, you go, "I know this episode."
Yeah, exactly.
And know exactly where in the timeline of things
with
you
Friends
are.
as well. I have that with
Yeah.
Friends.
Oh yeah.
I could do that probably with That 70 Show, because I
Yeah, me
rewatched
too.
that.
I could do that with That 70
I could do that
Show
with
as
That
well,
70
yeah.
Show too. But I love that thing with growing up with things like TV shows with comedies. You can do that. You can instantly place the timeline, even if you've never watched it in the correct order before.
Yeah,
you can just make the logical sense. And I think that's a great thing about comedies like this. It is wacky, it is silly, it's goofy, it's fun, but it still relies on the audience to interpret a sense out of it. And I think that's sometimes where comedy falls, where it gets too up its own butt and being like forgetting that the audience needs to understand what's happening. Like sometimes comedies can just be absurdist stuff. Like Tim and Eric work great because theirs is just wacky, whoa, what's this? But that works in a short format, not in the film format.
Right.
And this film is very much a live action cartoon. I'd
It
actually
is,
watch
it
this
is
as
very much. I was thinking that as well. As a cartoon, this would work just as well.
it would work just as well, you know. And with a cartoon, you could open up more possibilities of his bubble suit as well.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like I think that's possibly why this movie's unappreciated.
Yeah, you can make it a bit more elastic.
This movie, I think it's unappreciated, Bartek, because they don't use the bubble suit as much as you would think they would use a bubble suit in a movie called Bubble Boy. And I think that's why the audience turned their
I guess
necks.
they at least use it a little more than they use like the Thunderpants, as you said in that
In
episode.
Thunderpants,
Like the
yeah.
Thunderpants one specifically.
Hey, in Thunderpants, he fuels a rocket with those pants.
I haven't seen Thunderpants.
You should live.
I should live. I know. I haven't lived.
Get alive.
It's got that a very similar style in terms of like the bizarre world that the characters live in.
Right.
That's the comparison I'd make between these two movies.
Now, what I like about a movie like this is, like you just said, the world.
Yes.
I'd want to live in this world.
This is a very specific world.
Yeah, I'd like to at least visit it. For sure.
I think I'm with you. I'd like to visit it. I don't know if I'd want to live there, but I'd visit
Why?
it.
What's wrong with living in a world where they actually demean freaks, have people so pathetic that they're in a genital removing cult, and where a world where your parents lie to you for your entire life and pretty much...
That actually just sounds like the real world, what you just described.
Yeah,
I feel like that's
everything's the real world.
That's true.
Oh my god, it's Todd. So, Sorab, with this type of film that we've got here,
Yes.
the wacky kind of comedy,
Yes.
if I pitched to you this film, and you're not, obviously, this is a world where you're the producing figures, would you have wanted to make it?
If I'm being honest, probably not.
Why is that?
Because I feel like this is the kind of film where you need to see it to see that it works. If you told someone this idea, they'd be like, I don't think that'd work. I think that'd be really bad. But then when you see it, it really does come together.
I imagine that's the exact thing what happened with the studio. The studio will the guy's like, I want to make a movie about the boy in the bubble, and he goes on a road trip movie, and then the guy's like, nah, I don't see that working. What about Danny Trejo as a biker in it?
I'm intrigued.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more. And he's just like, get this. We'll also make it live action. Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah. Not to go too into detail of what we were talking about, but before we did this episode, we were kind of talking about how comedy is treated in certain places. Like how, with more dramatic films or things that you can make, you can more easily see like what someone's trying to do, but whereas with comedies, you have to get it right, and some people might not have faith in a person who wants to do a comedy because there's no guarantee that you'll get it right, and therefore it might fail.
Yeah.
So I guess when it comes to pitching comedies, that's like a really hard thing to do, and I can see why Sorab would have, kind of not agreed with it had he been a producer.
It's also because Sorab's a sourpuss, He doesn't like to have fun.
This is true.
One thing I always say about Sorab to all my friends is, one, he looks like Vince Colosimo, and two, he doesn't like having fun.
But is that actually Sorab, or is that him method acting?
He's method acting as Vince Colosimo, not having fun.
It's true. I am.
Vince Colosimo likes to have fun. He does crack.
He does, but this is I've made this character my own now, and my Vince Colosimo doesn't like to have fun.
Does he do crack?
Yeah, he does.
Not fun?
He does, but he gets really depressed, whereas the real Vince Colosimo has a lot of fun with it.
Woo!
My Vince Colosimo does crack and then just gets really depressed. Can we also talk about how in this scene when this old guy, I can't remember his name. Pappy, thank you.
And his brother's Pippi.
Yeah, exactly. He's talking about his girlfriend or his ex fiance, whatever she was. Yeah, but so they bleep out the tang, not the poon. Isn't that kind of like bleeping out the mother instead of the fucker in motherfucker?
Yeah, and then
do you know what I mean?
And then they're fine saying punani.
They say punani. That's fine. They're fine having the racist cliches of a Mexican biker and an Indian guy who has a curry truck. That's all fine, but you can't say poon. Like,
no, because this is a movie with Jake Gyllenhaal as a poor innocent child.
Right, okay.
I guess rather than... Maybe they weren't going for a censorship thing, they just thought it'd be really
They just thought it'd be funny?
If every time this guy happens to say tang,
maybe.
his car or something just makes a noise.
Maybe, yeah.
I like when they say it and there's no car.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Every time it happens, I always get a bit worried because I thought his bubble burst or something. I'm like, oh no.
I love that you were that invested. You heard the loud pop and you're like, oh my god, did his bubble burst?
I really would have liked for the end to make sense. A recurring gag in the background that you just see dead Pappy driving his car in the background and things. So that way when he turns up at the end, you're like, oh, okay. Because this scene here ends with Bubble Boy being launched out of the car and he just keeps driving. I would have liked it every now and then cut to him in a public location, smashing into things, and his dead body's and his car's still going.
Yeah, exactly.
And the same with the plane, and then that could have connected to 9/11, and it would have been tasteful. You know, it would have been tasty. It would have been tasty.
So Pappy hit the bottom part while the planes hit the top part.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
just, like,
yeah.
was too much.
Was it this movie or another movie that Roger Ebert had a big problem with because it came out in 2001 and he was like, 9/11 happened. We shouldn't be making jokes in
Did he
general.
really say that? That's so
I didn't
funny.
look it up for this.
This is one of my favorite scenes. This chick behind the counter, she's one of my favorite
Director's
characters.
wife.
Is she really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Director wife cameo.
And she's in the great CSI Miami.
Is this?
Oh, love it.
Is this the New York?
Yeah.
New York moment?
Yellow. I loved how he also looks like Billy Idol, but with reddish hair.
Yeah, he keeps changing his appearance.
It's because
Because years have passed since the
You know
first
what I
time we
love?
saw him.
For
so-
some reason, no matter what year it is, he's in the wrong era. Or is this movie actually set in the 80s? Because she has the Reagan photos, but that was when he was a child, and he's now
that
finishing.
Nixon?
Yeah, that's true.
Huh?
Wasn't that Nixon?
No, it was both. It was Reagan
It was
and
Reagan
Nixon.
and
then there was
Nixon.
another one next to Reagan as well. I can't remember who it was though.
Who knows? But then years have passed since he was a child, obviously. So is this set in the modern day? But why has everyone still got this kind of weird 80s aesthetic? Like him, Mark, being Billy Idol here?
Do you know what the real message? It's that this is just timeless. It's
You
just
got it, and they
timeless.
still watch Land of the Lost, which
Yeah,
was so
it's-
popular with
it's
the
just-
people in the 90s.
It's just timeless. That's all it is.
Bartek,
It's
when
this
you grew
movie
up
is timeless.
watching Land of the Lost, did you excuse the effects for being on purpose? Because apparently Bubble Boy's directors excused the effects in this movie not being very good, as in a reference to Land of the Lost.
Yes, he put in Land of the Lost specifically to say, hey, you don't need to have good effects to be good.
Even though I didn't walk out of this movie thinking about, yeah, effects.
Effects.
Me,
Yeah.
same here.
I walked out of this movie saying, yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal would,
Like-
in a bubble, my kink's satisfied now.
Like, what exactly... What
You
exactly...
know, there's someone who is like that.
There would be. There would definitely be.
They're like,
someone that.
Jake in a bubble
Like, I want to
with
be
an
in that
erection.
Bubble. I want to be in that bubble.
Jake's erection in a bubble.
So what exactly were they talking about with the effects? Like the freak makeup or something?
No,
Maybe.
when
Is there
he
much
launches
effects?
into the air.
Yeah?
When he's like falling at the very start with the bubble boy, like at the
Yeah.
end of this movie when he
Yeah.
falls into
Yeah,
the wedding,
yeah.
that kind of effects, because that's obviously green screen effects of him falling.
Okay.
Okay, well, those are so kind of brief.
I'm not
Yeah,
the
exactly.
I'm not the director making excuses here. He's gone on to direct nothing else, basically.
It's true.
uh,
I also love that his father doesn't say anything
that's an effect.
until the very end.
I guess one thing that I would ask is
You may ask.
the, two things kind of.
Oh, it's two-parter.
in terms of
First part.
in terms of expectations. So we had the father here who wasn't saying anything.
Hmm.
When I was watching it, I kind of had this idea in my head of maybe they're leading up to a moment where he says something and it's going to be meaningful. Did you guys have that? Well, I mean, Ryan, you've seen
I grew
it,
up
but-
with it, so
I did. I did.
And
And like when
did
he
it-
speaks, it's gonna be good.
And did it lead up to where you wanted it to?
It did. Yeah.
I
I
was
liked it.
happy-
I liked the moment when he spoke.
I was happy that it was like kind of heartfelt.
And I
moment.
liked it. Me as someone who's viewed this several times, my girlfriend was really confused of when the dad interacted with anyone else. He was in his own world, like he's laughing, being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
come in," and
Yeah,
then
that was
when the
weird.
son escaped, he heard it and smiled.
Yeah,
And
I noticed that.
and
this
it
time.
makes
Yeah.
it more poignant of his character. He's always been on Jake Gyllenhaal's side because he had an offhand narration being like, and I
love
hung
playing
out with
with
my
my
dad,
dad, yeah.
and then the mum would be domineering and like.
Yeah, the bike when he was riding
Yeah,
the
he was
bike.
riding
That,
the
that
bike,
moment
yeah.
right there was like, oh, he's different.
And the dad's
Yeah.
always trying to push. I've always wondered in this movie why the dad still goes along with trapping his own son in a bubble. Like, you know what I mean? For allowing it to be. Like, I often wonder about that, you know, still. But I love that John Caroll Lynch, this is a true trivia fact. He's bald.
Yes.
He demanded that they get him an expensive wig. This is true.
Really?
An expensive wig. Because it would be essential to his character. So they got him an expensive wig, which this is.
Right.
The one, the comb over.
It's a
And the
wig?
director said, thank God we got it because it does add so much to his character.
That's a wig.
Well, see the part of his hair?
Yeah.
That's his hair, but the comb over part is not
Is
his
it
hair.
is like an extension that they've.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's expensive.
That's so funny.
I
That's
guess
actually so funny.
I guess without really realizing it, because we don't know yet about the whole twist with Slim, Danny Trejo, is that
Thanks for
Which
clarifying.
I called, by the way, from
Was-
as soon as we
See,
met
I
him,
didn't call
I
that,
was like,
but-
I know who that is straight away.
well, no, what I
Because
was,
she's a redhead.
Yeah, well, that, but also...
That is a good point.
I was like, it's that kind of movie. That's definitely going to happen.
Well, for all the non-Sorabs,
Which is only a few of us
There's only
in
a
the
few
world.
of us. I am every
yeah.
man.
So we, without necessarily realizing it, he was kind of characterizing the father here by saying that, like, oh, he needed to, buckle down and get a job. So I guess he would be this kind of submissive character.
Yeah.
Which I guess that would be why he'd be going along with it.
Yeah.
And, what I like about John Caroll Lynch's performance in this, in comparison to, say, the mum, she's so over the top. It's so nice that he does have such a small, genuine moment here.
Yeah.
Within another movie where this is going to happen, he could be like Uncle Ben and give a speech. And
Yeah,
be like,
exactly.
And be like, this is my time to act. But
That's
since
exactly
he plays
right.
it so understated, it makes it more genuine. Like when he looks in that mirror, he's not even looking in the mirror. You just see him reflected in the mirror.
Yeah.
And he's just looking out nowhere. And he just takes his time and
Yeah.
goes, was it fun? You just go, damn right. This is
Yeah.
perfect.
The way he said it as well, when he says, like, I can't remember the exact metaphor he uses, but it's like it'd be like, coming all this way.
Going all the way to the moon, but not.
But
taking
not,
the first
yeah,
step.
but not taking the first step.
Yeah.
It's just like, and then he just unlocks the door. It's like, it's really good.
And you can tell from what's not said, but you can tell from his performance that he's a guy who never took that step on the moon.
Exactly,
and he's
exactly
making
right.
sure his son doesn't get that taken away.
Yeah,
And the
exactly right.
cherry on top of the whole cake here is that, for as well as he did in this role, it was almost a character who was cut from the whole movie.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Because they were
Really?
like, well, make him not speak. And then it's like, well, what's the point? Let's just not
Yeah.
have him in there altogether. And he
But
was
then
like,
so many good actors were like going for the role, and they were like, I guess we should.
no,
Wow.
Sorab's a professional. He wrote notes.
I did write notes.
Are there any particular highlighting notes that you want to share with us all?
Let me.
Let him have a look. Oh, and here it is. Wildfire. And I like...
This is what I have written for this moment. I knew it! Exclamation mark. I fucking knew his mum was wildfire. Double exclamation mark. That's what I wrote down for this moment.
Well, there's the evidence.
Yeah, I have other notes, but I will wait until we get to the moments that they are at.
And now here we have Pippi.
Pappy.
No, it's Pippi.
Oh, it's Pippi? Pappy was the other one.
Pappy was the other one.
Sorry.
I know my bubble boy.
You know your bubble
Also,
boy.
I know that he's over 100 years old because this incident took place 86 years ago.
Yeah.
When they were old enough to have sexual feelings towards a woman.
No, I don't know if you ever grow out of that, do you?
Oh, you must have had it when he was 4 years old. That's what I meant. Like, it must have happened when he was like in his teens or 20s.
Yeah.
So I didn't call the wildfire twist, but I kind of called the
Pippi Pappy twist.
that obviously, Ryan. But no, I'm talking about the fact that he actually does have immunities.
Oh, well, I
Oh,
actually
okay.
convinced my girlfriend last night that he opens up his suit and dies.
I thought when it looks like he's about to die, I was like, wow, this movie's gonna go in a really different direction right now.
Dark is the way to go with comedies.
Yeah.
My favorite type
I would have still loved it. I would have still thought it was
My favorite
great.
type of comedy is when it suddenly goes dark for no reason.
I love that. I
Like
love that
one
so
of my
much.
favorite comedies is Showgirls by Paul Verhoeven, in which it's this like, being very vapid and self-aggrandizing and silly, and then out of nowhere an intense rape scene happens,
Yeah, that's
and it's
true.
kind of the funniest thing in the
it's quite
entire
funny.
cinema's
Is
experience.
Showgirls that movie that has that terrible sex scene in the pool
I think so.
where
Yeah.
the guy like walks through the waterfall
Yeah.
and he looks like a zombie. He just walks through his hands
I'm
out.
pretty sure
Yeah.
that this could have gone dark, but it didn't, Bartek. And are you thankful?
I am, because it just made it a joy all the way through.
But
rather than most of the
did
way.
you guess when he got his immunities?
Well, I mean, he mentioned that he was let out of the hospital when he was 4, so I thought something might have been up with that. Like, oh, maybe I didn't predict that the mother was
In on it?
paranoid. I just predicted that maybe she might not have fully understood because she was so, in her own
Oh,
universe.
Right.
you thought of her as a more saintly figure than a manipulative bitch that
Yeah,
she was
which
clearly showing
He
throughout
is
the movie.
really quick to forgive, by the way.
Well, if I just kissed the girl of my dreams in my underpants in a wedding, I would be more forgiving of my mum.
that's probably that's a fair point. That is a fair point.
See, special effects here, Bartek. I know.
I don't think they're
thought
that bad.
It's
That's not
bubbles.
that bad.
I really thought that he was underwater.
Yeah, think it was that bad.
So guys, the movie's called Bubble Boy. He was just surrounded by bubbles. Could that
I
mean
love.
something?
They were like, is he douchey enough? No. Make him fist bump his buddies while he's standing at the altar.
I like that too.
And also make sure he doesn't have like a necktie, but like a
make sure
buttoned up.
He's
neck
not wearing a
collar.
regular suit. He's wearing like this really long, like black church clothes suit.
Yeah, and he's so great. I loved Mark in this. He's really up there. Like, Bartek, when you're in the end of the film, did you have a favorite individual standout performance? I just said you like Dr. Freak, but
Yeah, because you assume that I'm a huge Verne Troyer fan.
you really are.
I don't really think of myself as that because I only know.
No
from a
one
few
does.
things.
No one does. No
No
Verne
one
Troyer
think
fan
who's in the
really
Verne Troyer fandom.
No, exactly. They don't
Me.
think of themselves as that.
Not even he does.
100% of the world.
Yeah, everyone loves him as Mini Me, and the stunt baby and Baby's Day Out.
So you're just covering your ass, Ryan, by saying, "Oh, Bartek's the fan here." It's like we're all fans, right?
Well, but you're really a fan because you brought him up several times in other episodes.
Did I?
Yeah, go on, hit me with your favorite.
Favorite character? I kind of like Push Pop.
Yeah, I like
Push Pop.
I like
Is that
his name.
you, Sorab?
I like his name. Well, no, I think it's Danny Trejo.
Danny,
I'm
you.
a Danny Trejo fan.
Because he's you.
Yeah.
Isn't it great that
Also,
he
I
could...
do really like Chloe.
Mm.
I do like her.
I think she was a great female character. I kind of
She
wish
was a great
that she was
female
just in it a bit more.
Yeah, she could have been in it a bit more.
Yeah, she was in it.
But she has that. She played that
Bitch?
but like that beautiful bitch because she is beautiful in that bitchy role. But then she was also like she really did like him. They were really good friends. Like that, it worked. I didn't think at any point that she was pitying him.
Or
what I mean?
she's not the right girl. Yeah. Like we've done a movie on this show called Snow Day, in which the main character was in love with a girl who wasn't a bitch. Very nice, genuine girl. But the film gave you just enough realistic reasons of why they're not suited to each other and not in a hackneyed sort of way. And in this movie, they showed you genuine reasons why they're supposed to be together. And I like that. Also, might I add, she looks like if Heather Graham and Anna Faris had a child. I figured that.
Yeah, she kind of does.
Yeah, we're making a lot of comparisons, but it's been a while since we did this episode. But when we did Band Slam, did we have kind of
I love
conversations about the two girls in that movie and how they were suited to the main guy?
Yeah, and this is one of these movies where... Oh, wait, there it is!
That's the moment. That's the
He
moment.
puts his friend puts his hand on Mark's shoulder, and Mark's just like, fuck off!
Yeah.
And I loved it because it just showed that friend genuinely cares.
But also,
Which is great, because in douchey pro relationships, they often show sometimes that they aren't really friends.
at the end, that friend, while Jake Gyllenhaal is hugging Chloe, that friend gives him a high five.
I know.
Yeah, it's amazing. I rewound it because I was like, did I see that right? Oh, I did. Yeah, he gives him a high five.
Yeah, I love it. But Bartek, you were saying, sorry.
No, I was just asking if we had similar conversations about Band Slam.
Yeah.
I can't really remember.
We did. And I think, that's the great movie magic. When it's done right, you can really tell. And that's why it really perplexes me when a movie like this, a comedy, that does do the comedy right, that does do the sweetness, the vulgarity, all of that right. Why isn't it in everyone's collection of movies? Why isn't it up there in the great comedy classics like Zoolander, like Starsky and Hutch, like all of those? Why isn't it in everybody's collection? Bartek, you and I have done this show for a very long time. We always try and find reasonings or find some that we go, oh, this is why it's unappreciated. And I made a joke before. I make a joke statement that they didn't use the bubble enough. But I actually am coming into this, maybe because I'm clouded by my judgment of having seen the film throughout my childhood. I can't figure out why people don't like this.
Well, remember when we talked... He did high-five him. Remember when I mentioned that when I walked into this movie, I didn't know that it was going to be, as you said, that kind of movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I think, and a very similar thing with Thunderpants. I don't think people just really get what the movie's about, and also they might not have heard of it. Because, Thunderpants is a very memorable film, but if you've never heard of it, and you explain the premise to someone, it's like, oh, it's a boy with a farting problem, they might not, think that that's really worth their time. Like, boy in a bubble, and it's...
Yeah.
They just wouldn't get it. Maybe like.
Also, this movie really embraces the silliness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you look at Zoolander, and you look at Starsky and Hutch. You look at even all those Adam Sandler movies we were talking about. They're silly because of his outlook on the world, whereas this is silly because the world that they're in is silly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it really does embrace the silliness, which that could be a reason people don't appreciate it.
Question: does Dr. Freak get his freaks back now?
But they get along now.
Oh, that makes sense.
Also, all the movies, the way the movie was going to end, I never would have thought that the three of these guys would ride off on a motorcycle in some sort of weird threesome,
three-way relationship.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
What I've heard from you guys just now, what I heard about why the movie didn't succeed was Bartek talking about like people may not understand it, and you're being like, and it embraces silliness. It's a mixture of it's so smart and silly
at the same time,
and unpredictable.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked about the end here, great kiss.
Amazing. I know. Not awkward at all. No.
The vulture returned. I was very happy about that because we did a movie called I'll Be Home for Christmas, in which the main character is chased by a vulture only for one section of the movie, and I thought, oh man, they should bring it back.
Well, you say chase, but they were actually like walking side by side, like really getting along.
And this is one where I liked it, but I liked Danny Trejo. It makes sense. I said this last night to my girlfriend after watching it. The three-way relationship. You don't see that coming, but you know what? It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because out of all of them, it makes sense for her, because she was obviously wild at one point, wildfire, and then she went super Christian, and then, you know, she can fall back in that way. It doesn't make sense for his dad as much.
No, I think it does, because like you were saying, he never took that step on the moon.
So his step on the moon is polygamy. Great.
And also,
yeah.
And remember what I said? We unknowingly got some unless you saw Ab, we unknowingly got some characterization of him when. Because he called it, so
yeah, I did call it.
Classic Sorab.
When
thank you.
Slim described him as a kind of buckle down, get a job kind of guy, and obviously he wasn't the happiest in this film. He wanted to have a bit more of a wild side, and not only does he get that at the end, he's the one at the front.
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked one I really sympathized with was Danny Trejo. It makes sense. Because at first, he hated this guy, had no respect for him. But the thing that Danny Trejo Slim showed throughout the whole movie is, even though he's a tough guy, he can see through that first, expectation of you have of someone. First impression. And see through to the real person. And I think that his encounters now with this dad, he would see through to the fact that he's actually a good guy, a great guy, because he's all about respect and all that kind of stuff. And I think he sees in the father the respect, so it makes sense that he would be in this three-way relationship with a guy that he used to hate, but now he doesn't, because he sees that he's actually a genuinely great individual who's raised a great son.
Yeah. His
also he likes his son. He likes
exactly. He wants a four-way relationship with the son.
Exactly.
His arc isn't that he finally gets to take the stab. It's that he kind of gets over those feelings.
Yeah. So we are now the movie's over. Thanks, Chicken Man. The movie's and Flipper Boy, and Little Zip played by Beetlejuice. So
and all the Tods.
and all the Tods. And all the
I love that they're all listed individually as Todd.
Yeah.
It doesn't say like Todds and Lorraines. It's individually.
Oh yeah, you gotta give them slack.
You gotta give them individually.
That's actually pretty funny.
Indian Boy, thanks. Red Hot, my favorite. Working Girl, she really worked hard. Yeah. So we're going to now do our reviews and ratings of our choice, because this film is over now, and it is sad it's over. I skipped to the end of the credits to see if there's anything after, because this is a prime example of what that would be one. Like, of him still there with the cow.
Oh, that would have been great.
But he was at the wedding.
I know, but
him
in the wedding clothes with the cow still.
I love that the only people they invited to the wedding were the people from the movie. Like, there were no other extras there. It was just all the people he ran into on his
I like
road
the
trip.
fact that he invited people that he had also not met, like Fabio.
Yeah, I know. Fabio was at the wedding.
All right, so I'm gonna go.
Well, also, Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
Also, with no explanation, the cult people are just following Push Pop, and they're all wearing turbans. with no explanation.
And they're
at all.
also in brown face.
Well, you gotta wait for the spin-off film where it gets
spin-off
explained.
where we get that explained.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna go like this. We're gonna do our reviews, and then Sorab, you can read us some of your notes,
read
and
you
then
some
we
notes.
can get some of the reviews in YouTube comments. So I'm gonna go first. Childhood classic of mine. That's the name of my review. This film is from the early 2000s, which is bewildering to think was so long ago.
Yeah.
And the movie speaks volumes about what that time was like. This was a time in which comedy was not afraid to be both sincere and disturbing. Because it is a disturbing concept on a level. They're taking a true story about a boy who was in a bubble, and that story did not end very well, might I add. And they're making a comedic spin on it, and they're not afraid of provoking the audience with racial humor, with inappropriate gags, sexual content, all that. But it's also appropriate for children at the same time. It is like Austin Powers in that regard, where Austin Powers was very gross, very sexual, but kids loved it at the same time because they didn't get those adult gags, and that's the perfect blend. Dweezil Zappa is in this as the guitar consultant. I'm very happy. I didn't realize that until now. I just wanted to comment on it, and this is a movie that gets talent together and really uses that talent to the best of its abilities. You have Danny Trejo, you have Swoosie Kurtz, you have Jake Gyllenhaal, and these are all legendary performers, great actors, great comedic performances all around. This is a favorite of mine from my childhood. It is what I want comedies to go back to. If I have to give this a rating, if I had to give it a rating, I would give it one Verne Troyer out of one normal-sized human.
I like your rating system.
So, hold on. The two of you watched the same legal copy, right?
Yes, of course.
And it cut out in the middle of the credits?
Sure.
I stopped after.
Why?
It went to black.
So-
I didn't think there
Why?
was a
Was
post-credit
there-
scene,
was
so
there-
I stopped it.
So
once it was
me,
over.
who watched a copy that did have the full credits,
Did it have a post-credit scene?
not seen, but it played. There was some dialogue at the end, but it felt like there were just random.
Was there really?
Yeah, there was. I think they took random lines from the movie and just played them at the end because for some reason, I think some of the freaks and Verne Troyer were saying some things at the end, but it wasn't really that coherent.
That's really strange.
Well,
So if you guys could track down a copy that has the full
Well,
credits,
yeah,
that would be
check
great.
that out
I'd like
and
to
see what
watch
that's
So,
about.
Rab,
Yes.
hit us with your review and a rating of your choice.
My review of this movie would be, it's really a coming of age tale. It really is, because he is so regressed and so sheltered, literally trapped in that house. He can't go anywhere, and he has every experience that a human, like he sort of plays catch up
Yeah.
as the movie goes on. He's got to, I don't know how old he would be, probably about 20 when the movie, because it's like the end of
Yeah.
high school and then it's
Yep.
a couple of years.
Yeah.
Be about 20, 21, let's say.
Yeah.
Younger
you
than
know?
us,
Yeah, a bit younger than us. And so he has all of these experiences as he goes on, and sort of plays catch up, and he has his first ice cream, and he makes a really good friend in Danny Trejo, and he goes to a casino. He mud wrestles with two chicks in bikinis.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
Like that's amazing in and of itself. He has all these experiences, and then he gets the girl in the end, and it really is a feel good coming of age tale. And if I had to give it a rating, I would give it 3 bubble blowers, the little things that kids play with.
Oh yeah, those bubbles, one sticks.
But like the big ones that you use the wind
Yeah.
to make a big. I'd give it 3 of those.
I really thought he was going to say bubble job, and I'm like, is that a weird blow job that you can only get when you're in a bubble suit?
Yes, it is. It is.
Bartek?
Did you think that when he said kids?
Well, we already established he would fuck a baby, so yes,
It's true. It's true.
it's 100% true. Bartek, give us your review and a rating.
So I've already compared this film to Blues Brothers, I'll Be Home for Christmas, and Thunderpants because it has a lot of stylistic narrative things that are similar to them. And, like, I wasn't even comparing them for things like, oh, both have a vulture that appears.
Classic vulture.
That's true.
But, yeah.
Same vulture.
Same vulture, yeah.
Even in ways that I was not anticipating, these movies are similar.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of those films, I genuinely think this is one of those films that people are just really missing out on for not knowing what it is. But then there's that whole, string of problems there. Like, you might know what it is, but you might think that it's not that great. You might know then what it is and that it is a comedy, but then you might think, oh, comedy's, whatever.
Yeah.
And you might even know the general plot, but then think that's not intriguing. It's just this whole cavalcade of, you just need to watch the film to get it. You can't just look at the skeleton and say, oh, I think, it's not going to really be for me. There are probably films right now that the three of us haven't seen and maybe have similar, expectations of, and we're missing out on them. And you know what? That's a thing on us. Maybe eventually we'll get around to them and realize that we were the fools. But right now, you can listen to us right now, and know that right now you are being the fool right now.
So when are they being the fool? Right now?
Right now?
About now.
Right now. Okay.
About 2 seconds ago.
2 seconds before they conceive.
Yeah.
Look, so we're the three of us right now. We're in a state where we might be missing out on something, and right now you are in a state where you're missing out on something. But you have the advantage of knowing what it is you are missing out on.
Yeah.
We're still in the dark. We still have to find our light, but we are being torches or flashlights, depending on where you're from, for you right now. You should see this film. You should see what is so great about it. The three films that I listed before, Thunderpants and I'll Be Home for Christmas, those are also unappreciated masterpieces that you might not be aware of, and you should check them out. But Blues Brothers, that's an appreciated film.
That is
if you haven't seen that one, you just haven't really been listening to anyone who has seen it.
You should watch it. Not right now, but like after right now.
As soon as this is over.
Soon after right now.
Soon after
watch
right now.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah, right. Like,
And
never watch Blues Brothers right now. Okay.
yeah, watch it just after right now.
Like, watch it after right now has happened.
Why do you guys keep saying right now? That's weird.
But I keep going.
So look, if you see Blues Brothers, you'll walk out of it thinking that was different from a lot of films. There was this kind of like journey. There was this kind of people following them. That's what this film is. It's a guy going on a journey. People are following him. It doesn't have musical sequences though. That would have been pretty great. Although there was that one where they were singing "Bright and Shiny." This film,
Which was my favorite musical sequence.
I know. Did it win an Oscar for Best Original Song?
Yes.
Yes.
Take that, La La Land.
Take that indeed.
We can't afford copyright of that.
Okay, sorry.
I'm joking. I imagine Ryan Gosling sitting down right now,
He's
listening to
listening
our
to this.
podcast, going, "That fucking Sorab."
God damn it, he sang my song.
But he's Canadian, so he's too nice to say fuck.
I mean,
that freaking Sorab.
what else is there to say that hasn't already been said? It's a fantastic film. If you're kind of tired of political incorrectness in films as it is now, where it's kind of like for the sake of being it, like, oh, nothing else is doing it, I'll do it. This is a film that does it and really owns it. It's really enjoyable. It's really funny. And I've already said it. I recommend it. We recommend it. You should watch it. It'll light up the path to enlightenment for you. It itself would be a form of enlightenment.
It will change your life.
And this isn't a cult thing. This is like a genuine thing. It's an experience. It's a film.
What's your rating?
You don't have to commit to anything to watch it. You just have to watch it and...
But
What's
you
your-
do
what's
have,
your-
you have
what's
to
your
do watch it
rating?
right now. Yeah, what's your
What's
rating?
your rating?
Alright,
How many-
review's done. Gonna give it a rating.
How many Twin Towers do you give it?
The rating is $500 worth of damage on the Twin Towers.
Yes,
Wow.
that's like minimal damage.
Yeah, I know. So people
Yeah.
will still live to be able to watch the film.
Be able to watch
Sorab,
the yes.
can you give us some of your amazing notes? Do you
My
have
notes,
any
my notes
standouts?
are just like little things that
Mine are
popped
that
into my
too.
head while like
I just-
for example, the opening of the movie. The first thing I wrote down is this song. Could this movie be any more early 2000s?
Yeah, I wrote Smash Mouth a couple
right.
of times.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote down that the woman in the nun costume. This is before I knew that hat was an actual thing.
Yeah,
that nuns
it's
wear.
an actual thing.
I thought she was just shopping at the same place as the bunny from Donnie Darko. I thought that was like a Halloween costume gone wrong. I also loved that Rapunzel left her plastic bubble and died.
Yeah.
And all the stories that she was telling him were, and then he left his plastic bubble and died.
Yeah, and then had sex with the whore next door and died.
Yeah, and also touched the whore next door. She's a good mother. She's just a really good
Who
mother.
knew that Pinocchio didn't have immunities?
We'll keep that.
Yeah, I kind of freaked out when I saw Zach Galifianakis.
I did too.
I was not expecting him to be in this movie.
And he was so young.
Yeah,
And
I was
he
like,
was.
is that him?
Yeah, exactly. I had a skeptical
You
second
know
where
why?
I was like,
you know
"That's
why?
not
Because
him."
his
No, it
beard
is.
wasn't as full.
Yeah, exactly.
He grew out his beard as he grew older.
Also, and I forgot about this. Okay, so this movie, did you know that this movie references Treasure of the Sierra Madre?
Of course.
Yeah. When Danny Trejo says, "Patches, I could use some stinking patches."
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It references and I thought that was hilarious.
Because all the kids really want that reference.
Yeah, exactly. Because who wouldn't understand?
I love
that
Humphrey
reference?
Bogart.
Well, even UHF
Also-
referenced it.
This is a note that I have written down on my phone. It just says Fabio, and then there's 3 question marks after it. That's what I wrote.
Why
down.
is that a question?
I don't know why it's a question.
Like
It should be
Fabio?
more like Fabio.
Yeah,
Like-
right.
like-
It should have been.
Should
It
be
should
like
have been.
more with a head nod implied.
Also, when he's at the metal concert in Vegas and he starts getting like crowd surfing, but he's like in the bubble. I was like, and they just pick him up. I was like, that's
I would do that.
pretty amazing. Yeah, but like he's a giant bubble. That's really hard to get over. your head. I was like,
Don't discriminate. If several
it's really
people can
incredible.
lift him up, his weight would be less because he's in a bubble.
That's okay. Yeah,
That's
sure.
how geography works.
Science.
Anti-gravity in the bubble. Oh, that's why bubbles float.
That's why bubble. Yeah, that's
They
why bubbles
float.
I also read, is Mini Me complaining about being called Mini?
That was also
It's
something in the
hilarious.
trivia. It's like
Yeah.
he's
me.
Yeah.
Mini Me. He
He's-
played Mini
he
Me.
played Mini Me, and his name was
Oh, what a hero.
Yeah, and I just wrote down, I love that he invited the crazy cult people who were trying to kill him to the wedding.
Sorab,
was great.
professional as always, bringing notes. I mean,
Did he invite them, or were they just working for the catering?
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, maybe he hired Push Pop to do the catering, and they just showed up.
Yeah, that's what would have happened. So, guys, I have reviews from IMDb, and Bartek has some comments from YouTube. Now, a lot of these reviews from IMDb, I can speak of most of the time, come from a parallel universe in which this movie was the best film of any movie of that year, let alone any movie created. Well, in our universe, that's not the case. We think they're great, but not everyone else. I have a 10-star review here for you, Bartek, from 2001, so
10
fresh.
stars.
It's the wait for a decent summer movie is over.
Yeah.
A few months ago, I had the opportunity to see Bubble Boy at one of those free screenings where they ask you to rate and analyze it, and then they put like the actual @ symbol. So this was 2001, so that was progressive. Thousand Oaks Jane's Marketplace, CA. So just in case you want to know,
California.
or it could be Canada.
Shit.
It was a rough cut at the time, but it was enough to convince me now that it could be one of the best movies of the summer. Let me explain. You see, at the beginning, they wrote beginning with several G's.
Cool.
Of the season, I was hyped for the big stuff. AI, Jurassic Park 3, Planet of the Apes. They just wrote apes, so I just made Planet of the Apes.
Apes.
Pearl Harbor, American Pie 2. So when I saw this little-known movie called Bubble Boy, I really liked it and moved on. Looking now for the real big name / budget films, a few months pass. I've seen all the supposed good films, except for American Pie 2. And my final conclusion is that Bubble Boy is better than all of them. It doesn't try to make a huge statement. It doesn't try to razzle / dazzle the audience.
I love that. Razzle / dazzle.
And it doesn't try to gross us out even more than recent and current comedies. It simply focuses on some very likable characters who offer more than just name recognition and crude jokes. The characters all have hearts. They all have they are all positive role models
Except for Mark.
and they have great chemistry together. Is it possible that Hollywood has actually put out a decent story with decent values and developed characters? Yes, they have, and Bubble Boy is it. Okay, so the plot is very basic. Boy is born without immunity, lives in a bubble, falls in love with the neighbor girl, journeys across the country and stops her marriage and declares his love for her. I just want to pause there. I just like how he says it's just a very basic plot. But just that is the most absurd plot.
It's such an absurd plot.
The story works and sets a perfect framework to learn with him about real world as he influences the lives of some very diverse people. The ending is simply great. I was a little worried how this was going to wrap up, but it did just fine. Jake Gyllenhaal plays the Bubble Boy and plays him well. He's innocent, thoughtful, and humorously naive with ways of the world. The girl he falls in love with is Marley Shelton, who is very different from the typical Hollywood bimbo. She can actually act, and she betrays the love of Jimmy's the Bubble Boy with more than just good looks. I'm not going to undermine how hot she is, because she is, but there is so much more to her character. The mum, played by Swoosie Kurtz, also does a great job being the fanatical, protective mother. There are other great supporting characters that all add something to the Bubble Boy's journey. Two of my favorite characters were Pippi and Pappy, brothers who haven't spoken to each other in over 86 years. They just add more subtle humor to all the physical comedy that is plentiful. Bartek, they add more subtle comedy. Humor that is plentiful. That's what is truly great about this movie. It has slapstick, the subtle, witty humor, developed characters, and a touching finale. This is one well-rounded bubble, and it deserves to be hit. Now, Bartek, I would like to hear what YouTube has to say. Now, Bartek, are these comments from the trailer or just the trailer?
Yeah.
Okay, hit us.
From one specific video.
The trailer had a lot to offer us.
Yeah,
Just let our listening people know the whole subtle jokes with Pippi and Pappy. They kept talking about vagina.
That's true. That was the subtle
Oh, I
jokes.
thought it was that they was played by the same actor.
That was
No,
that
they
was
were
also
they were
quite
brothers,
subtle.
right?
Oh, it was actually two brothers.
It was two brothers. It was actually two brothers.
He thinks we're telling the truth. First comment, and it gets right in there about what they're feeling. Hey, did you read the comment, Ryan?
No, I'm just waiting.
Don't laugh ahead of time.
Okay, I won't laugh after the time.
Don't laugh
Right
right
now.
now.
Right
laugh
now.
after the right now that
After
I'm
the
telling
right
you.
now.
Yeah.
Because Ryan, the first comment is $500 Lamau CX. Lots of negative comments. I actually like this movie, smiley face.
Why are there lots of negative comments?
I didn't pick too many of them though, to be fair.
Good.
The next comment is, I can see Bubble Boy as a prequel to Nightcrawler. And there was a response to this comment. Yes, that bubble experience made Hin such a damaged human being, and after Chloe leave Hin for another dude, he moved to LA to try get a life than Nightcrawler.
I love the syntax and grammar of YouTube comments. It's perfect.
Yep.
Read us another.
Remember when you find out at the end that he's not really allergic to anything and his parents were just lying to him his whole life? No question mark. Response.
No, I don't remember that.
Response. Yep.
Well, I have a 7-star review here for you, Sorab, and its title really is a great statement for this film. It's called Perfect Modern Day Farce.
Wow.
Yeah.
From 2005, so
Perfect.
Perfect.
But 7 out of 10 stars.
Perfect.
Perfect, but 70%.
From 2005.
Well, it's modern.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay, I admit it. I was a child of the 80s. I distinctly remember sitting in elementary school and reading about the boy who lived in a bubble in my weekly reader. Naturally, when I saw the trailer for this movie, I asked myself, hey, whatever happened to that boy that lived in the bubble? I knew I had to watch this to satisfy my curiosity. You've got the perfect character, an odd teenage boy that lives in a bubble. Write up an adventurous plot and throw in a cameo by Fabio and some MC Hammer on the soundtrack, and you've got yourself a movie that no Gen Xer can resist. I was fully expecting this film to be along the lines of Wayne's World or A Night at the Roxbury, but the characters are hilarious and exaggerated, but the non-existent plot drags on like a 10-minute skit that has gone around 80 minutes too long. To my surprise, Bubble Boy has a fast-moving plot. Okay, It is somewhat of an overused plot. Boy falls in love with a girl gets engaged to someone else, boy interrupts the wedding to get the girl back. You've watched enough movies like this to know how it is going to end, but as always, it's the journey that Bubble Boy takes to get there that makes this movie interesting and redeeming. Just when you think that Jimmy is finally on his way to Niagara Falls and the movie is going to start dragging, bam! The ice cream truck hits a cow. After mud wrestling two women while Japanese male spectators cheer on, Jimmy is back on his way. Just when you think it can't get any more crazy, it does. That bubble plastic might be some tough stuff. There is an important lesson that can be learned from this movie. It is best expressed by Jimmy's dad, who's really the only normal character and only speaks once in the entire movie. He asks, "What if Neil Armstrong flew to the moon but never stepped foot on it?" This movie is about taking chances, breaking out of our so-called bubbles and experiencing life, not just sitting around watching it pass us by. The dialogue and the jokes can be lame sometimes, but the humor really comes from the absurdity of the characters and the improbable situations the main character runs into. I have to give the writers an A+ for imagination. The movie is sanitized for young viewers, but gives a wink and a nod to more mature viewers. This is a perfect modern day farce if you're looking for a light and uplifting comedy at the rental store. FYI, in case you wondered, the original Bubble Boy David died at the age of 13 back in 1984 after an unsuccessful bone marrow transplant. Today, infants born without immunity to disease undergo the transplant procedure at a young age so they don't have to live the rest of their lives in a bubble. That's just an interesting fact for you there, Bartek.
That would have been a very different ending to the movie.
Yeah. Bartek, give us some YouTube. So YouTube is a beautiful place, is it
really
not,
is.
Bartek?
The way that you describe the reviews on IMDb is that they come from another dimension where the movie is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
The YouTube comments are more like real people.
Great.
You know, they're not the huge, well-paid reviewers or anything like that. They're just people with genuine, outlooks on these films. And that's why sometimes they might seem a little funny, because they're not being dolled up or anything. They're just being pure, like you said with the syntax. You being Sorab, just to let everyone know.
No, you being everyone.
You people.
What do you mean, you people?
Well, this comment here is, if this is the right movie, it is actually a very serious case and a rare one. It's not really funny, based on a true story.
Okay.
Which this person truly believes they're a real person.
They
Next
are.
comment is, I watched this movie about a year ago, and I still have a voice in my head saying, "You must watch Bubble Boy again!" There are 6 exclamation marks in all caps.
Why?
Well, Ryan, you watched it 30 times.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I should know. Yeah.
That comment was probably you. Well, no, you said a year ago, so
So it wasn't
it
you.
wasn't you.
Okay.
I remember seeing this trailer and I thought it was completely stupid, and I put myself through watching Pauly Shore movies. Also remember this being on TV, and I still couldn't bring myself to watch it. But for Gyllenhaal, I may watch it now. I may just watch it now.
Well, Bartek, I got a 10-star review here. Now, people really liked Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
This one's called Lighten Up, and it's in regards to people who didn't like Bubble
Sure.
Boy.
Oh,
From
Lighten
2000, Lighten Up, Bartek. I think most of the people who have rated this movie take it way too seriously. It's not a serious movie, guys. It's not putting anything down. It's just poking fun. It's pretty much a live-action satirical cartoon. It's one of those movies that if you don't just go along with it, well, you're not with it. I love that this movie isn't so concerned with being so politically correct. It's one of the few movies I've seen that will actually do that. I think you should stop trying to be righteous all the time and just let yourself laugh. Maybe you might be offending someone, but who cares? It seems like everybody today is so easily offended. I bet some people are getting pretty hacked off at me right now, but I can state my opinions. It's a free country. People should start taking the advantage of the fact that they have the freedom of speech and won't be punished for what they say or for what you say, except if it's against the president, but that's another story. This was written in 2004. It's so applicable.
So this was after Bush said you're either with us or against us.
But that's another story. I love this movie. I love it. I love it. I love it. It always makes me laugh no matter how depressed I am. And Jake Gyllenhaal is so sweet in it and so nice and so innocent. His mother is hilarious. She can go from really dramatic to really funny in an instant. If you haven't seen this movie, see it. If you've seen this movie and love it, go see it again. If you've seen this movie and think it's an immature load of crap, well, go find yourself some so-called mature comedy. And Bartek, I have one here that's obviously written by a woman. But I've often wondered if we've done these reviews that you could tell that they're written by some teenage girl. But I've often wondered what if it's actually a 35-year-old man. So when I read this, can you please interpret it as a 35-year-old man wrote this?
Okay,
It's called, it's 8 stars. It's called So Cute. It contains spoilers, might add. So
Also, for all those people who can't see the title, So is written with like 10 O's.
So cute.
Well, it's obviously a 34-year-old man.
8 stars. Now, may contain spoiler, guys.
Okay.
This movie was so unbelievably cute. Jake really did play the wide-eyed innocent guy with boyish looks and such optimistic outlook. My favorite lines. Chloe, Mark and I have been dating on and off for a while now, and, well, he's asked me, Jimmy, to go fishing. Ha! Lol. I especially like this line because in the upcoming film Brokeback Mountain, Jake and Ledger's excuse for going off together is we was fishing buddies. Haha. Smiley face while winky face. Back to Bubble Boy. Chloe. No. Jimmy. To go to the movies? Chloe. No. Here comes the cutest voice crack ever. Jimmy, to get my voice crack. Cried. Oh, poor Jimmy. I cried right there. Oh, and then the other great line. I'd rather hold you in my arms for one moment than live my life knowing I never could. Oh, and then no one can forget $500. I think it's really funny seeing Jimmy/Jake imitate a Chinese guy. Smiley face. Bartek, give us
That's how you end a review.
Bartek, give us some of your final ones because I have one review left.
Okay.
But yeah, can you imagine a 35-year-old neckbeard guy writing that? And be like,
Dude.
it's always so easy to see like this teenage girl who's like,
So I've got 5 comments left. How many do you want?
hit us all.
All of them?
All of them. Sorab, can you handle 5?
I think I can do it.
I mean,
He's a strong guy. He looks like Vince Colosimo.
two of them have, responses, so it's kind of a little more than 5. But
Do you want Sorab to read the responses?
No.
Oh, fuck you, Sorab.
Oh, well, there you go. That's fine.
Actually, you can read one of the responses. I'll highlight it.
What a hero.
I feel so involved.
You can use your acting skills.
I can. It's going to be great.
You can pretend to be a response.
First comment. This trailer doesn't do this film justice at all. It makes it look as if the only joke is him being bounced around like a football, and that is a fraction of it. Witty dialogue, lots of interesting characters, and the obligatory biker gang. If you like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Edward Scissorhands, I think you'll like this. I like the obligatory biker gang.
Yeah.
Alright, this next one, there are 2 responses to it, and the second one is just a boom, owned. Like, yeah. This movie makes you laugh, smile, and cry. And then in brackets it says, if you're me. I rate this movie 5 stars. I love it. Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal, you make this movie truly amazing. And then response. 5 stars out of how many? 30, I hope. And the final response where they just own him.
Ooh.
5 out of 5. 100%, guys. 5 out of 5. And this one has a response that I have Sorab read. The initial comment is, a movie that embarrasses everything, everyone, and all those that appeared in it. No wonder it didn't do well at the box office. And the response, which Sorab will read, is...
The one I highlighted in blue.
Reported.
The re being response, but yes, reported. He reported this person.
Oscar winner there.
And that's why that
Sorab?
commenter will never be seen again.
You know,
And
Sorab, he could have been in Moonlight and won the Oscar, but he was too busy doing this type of podcast.
This type of podcast. That was.
It took him a second because you have to get the emotion
I had to get
in there to say
He had to feel like, what would this
I
reporter
had
guy
to make
be
a
about?
connection to the line.
Who is the man? What's his feelings? Is it a woman? You know,
Is it a woman?
should I
Is it a
play it
man?
like a
Is it a
feminine? Should I play it like a detective? I don't know.
So we've got 2 more comments, and these comments are both inquisitive comments. One is
I love
a
Inquisition,
question.
Yeah.
especially the
Great.
Spanish one.
The Spanish one was great.
Does anyone know the name of the song that goes bow wow ba 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 wow wow in the movie?
Did anyone reply to that?
They did. They just said the answer, and that was it.
Oh,
which
well, I'm
was
glad
the-
someone got an answer.
I'm glad someone understood that.
Yes, they're like, oh, it's obviously the Beach Boys. That wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice?
And the last comment, which makes a statement that I don't think we, commented upon
Oh, wow.
in the thing, and it's simply, he has weird friends.
Well, Bartek, I have a final review here. From 2002, it's 10 stars, called Finally, a children's movie with truth in it.
He has weird friends.
That's true. That's honesty.
People, and none of this is in uppercase, people claim that all this movie does is bash things, but rather I think it makes fun of people who are 100% true to their negatively connotated stereotypes. If you were offended by anything in this movie, you're most likely offended at something in yourself. We need more productions which spare no feelings when making a commentary on the true nature of life on this planet today. I think that was one of the movie's main points. It's useless and stupid to try and keep people from reality. The side points are numerous. From the institution that women are more likely to go for men with jobs than not, to nothing to noting the frequent practice by Christians to default every other religion as evil, as well as the idea that people get sick of them doing it. Ultimately, if you plan on keeping your child or yourself in a bubble as long as possible, you might as well watch Tribulation or some other piece of crap designed to promote resentment of the truth of humankind. Remember, it wouldn't be a stereotype if it wasn't true.
I love how much that person has read into this movie. I love it.
I mean, I think what they're basically saying is that when a satire is really just about real life.
It's about real life.
It's perfect.
Sorab.
It's perfect.
Well, that's it, ladies, gentlemen, and Bubbles. You guys have been fantastic, amazing, wonderful listening people. Sorab, first time guest, and I hope you will appear in another bubble-related movie.
I would love to appear in another bubble-related movie, or another movie in general, but
No.
bubble-related would be my preference.
No, bubble-related.
I feel
it
like
will
that's
be.
my specialty.
He's the bubble boy.
I am the bubble boy.
Should we do the John Travolta Bubble Boy?
Yeah,
movie?
it's a
You
TV
should
movie.
do- I'd
So
like
I
to
don't
see
know.
John Travolta bubble boy.
Yeah, that's my Travolta.
Is he Travolta? Well done. Yeah.
I get every episode where John Travolta's appeared in the movie You Weren't Here, Ryan.
Yeah, well, he's dead to me. So,
Oh no.
you guys, if you want to support us, well, you can find us pretty easily. It's Spit and Polish Presents. There's a Facebook page, a YouTube page. We're on iTunes. You can, support us by giving us likes or reviews, or hey, on Facebook we have a post there that's on the top where you can suggest an unappreciated masterpiece for us to do, because hey, we may not have done Bubble Boy. It may not have been my childhood classic, and Sorab would have not been Sorab about the film, and then you would have been really sad about that. You guys may have an unappreciated masterpiece that we will never do because we don't know it, and that's a problem with unappreciated masterpieces. Even us, the experts, don't know all of them.
It's like I said in my review. We're in the dark. We need to find the light.
Bartek said a lot today, and all of it was true, especially that two-part question that he only gave us one part of earlier in the episode.
Yeah, it was when I was talking about do we predict the dad thing and do we predict the ending?
Well, did you guys predict that this is now the end of the episode? Remember to be kind to each other.
Ryan, I think John Travolta's not going to be happy with what you said about him just then.
Fuck John Travolta.
No, don't fuck me!
And that's how you end an episode.